Welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name's Peter Howard at PA Howdy on the Twitter thingamajig, senior writer for Dynasty League Football, or DLF, as the logo suggests.com. And we're also streaming on their YouTube channel. So, hey, actual audience, that's nice for a change. We do a live show with Dynasty Outhouse, Zach Reed from the Dynasty Dummies podcast, and myself every Wednesday at 9:30, where everyone will be talking about what we say in about 4 weeks to 8 weeks. Normally, we give the news about 2 months ahead of time. And in about 2 years, I'll be talking about how the trends we've already debunked this off-season are actually true. No one cares, but we tend to be a little ahead of the times. Dynasty Outhouse is going to be late today. Zach Reed has to go early today. Well, not early, but like at a reasonable human time, 11:30, which is a bit unusual for us. So I thought I'd mention it. Drop your questions in the comments. Right, questions in the comments. Yeah, that's correct. I will try to read them accurately today, which will be a nice, unusual change, I think. And yeah, we're here to talk about Dynasty in general. Scott Fishbowl's just about wrapping up for most people, which signals the beginning, I think, traditionally, of the actual Dynasty / redraft season. So let us know what you got. Thanks very much, and let's get to it. Hey, Zach, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Peter.
I seriously think, we were talking about Elijah Moore. Well, you were talking about Elijah Moore just as the season ended, like trade from after the draft. And I feel like just about now people are starting to notice that. And I was talking about vacated targets being, not what everyone was pushing them to be at least a year. When does that the first time I published an actual article on it was at least a year ago. And now that's becoming mainstay. And this offseason, I've been talking about, players don't develop into breakouts. So in about a year, probably that will become discovered by someone that people actually listen to. So what we're gonna talk about that people are going to talk about in 2 years today. How was your Scott Fishbowl draft? You did a live draft, right?
I
did.
That go?
That must have been awesome.
The first 12 rounds live, and it was. If you in the audience, if you have never done a live fantasy football draft, I highly recommend it. It is awesome. And I have a league that does it. My home league does a live draft. We now fly in people from Cincinnati. We have people who come from Massachusetts. It started out as a little local league, but yeah, the Scott Fishbowl. I started off with Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Matt Ryan, Aaron Jones, and Alvin Kamara. So I crowned myself retroactively the SFBX champion. So like 2 years ago, I crushed it.
Nice. You're the running back king this offseason. I like it. Nice.
Yeah.
Outhouse isn't going to be here till later, but I've had a question this week from someone in my DMs asking me about, what to do. And it was a commissioner question. And I was like, come to the Dynasty Grind. And he was like, yeah, sure. Let me know what he says. I was like, all right, so I'm going to have to ask that question and give him a timestamp, I guess. But first question up tonight is by Randy Wyatt. I have to admit, I don't fully understand it because I thought Najee was going to be a value this offseason. The talk after like 6 weeks, I literally got slammed by popular people on Twitter about how
he's inefficient, Peter.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he was inefficient. And I was like, I just think volume doesn't work that way. And so I thought it was going to be a value because people that people were saying that he was bad. But he's a running back 2 overall in Dynasty. I don't know we should value him any higher than that. And I haven't gone through the Scott Fishbowl. I didn't see a league where Najee Harris was the guy to fade. Like, people seem to like Najee Harris. As for the Saquon Barkley comparison, I don't know about that, but I think Najee had all the volume, and that's why his volume's comparing well to Saquon. Do remember that this was in a longer season in general.
Well, so you got to go down through, Peter, because Randy has like 4 or 5, and he kind of explains himself. He said that he doesn't think that Najee Harris is going to get the targets because he's either got a rookie quarterback or he's got Mitch Trubisky, and he doesn't think he's going to see the checkdowns. And I hate to math, Randy, and I hate to bring in numbers and statistics, but Mitch Trubisky in the 2 full years that he started had a running back, not the entire core, but a running back that he targeted 91 times and 104 times. So if you're worried about Trubisky checking down, he does that. That's part of his game. And if you're worried about rookie quarterbacks, the third highest percentage of throws to running back for any team in the NFL last year was Mac Jones, a rookie. So, like, let's not generalize. Like, they're going to do what they do. Pittsburgh is going to do what they do. Najee Harris is good. They're going to use good players. I'm not worried about him. Like, will he see 90 targets next year? I don't know. That's kind of game script dependent. If they're down, if they're scoring a lot, it all depends. But is Najee Harris what Najee Harris has been? Will he be the bell cow back for Pittsburgh? I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, it's a little on the range. We like to draft players from good teams, and I think that's actually fair. You should prioritize. If you're going to prioritize by anything that way, players on good offenses. But good running backs, fantasy running backs, come from bad, quote-unquote, NFL teams pretty often. Yeah. It's not as strong a correlation as you'd like. So I get the concern, but no. I think both Barkley and Najee Harris are more likely top 5 running backs this year than anything. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. But I do appreciate you sharing the thoughts, especially the in-depth look here. Alan Davis talks back to Randy. Let's see.
He's hoping Najee doesn't do well in the 2 weeks that he plays against him. And I feel you, Alan.
I mean, volume slays, I don't tell you. Paul, philosophy. I can't even say that word. So I can't be speaking that way. Appreciate that, but he spelled it a little differently. If a pass falls in the woods, does Robert Woods catch it? Woods and a 23 second round pick or Hopkins? The pick at
probably take the upside of Hopkins. Yeah,
I'd probably take Hopkins for Woods straight up. Like, if one's coming back, I'd rather have Hopkins.
Yep.
Yeah, I got an interesting trade from Dynasty has, by the way, and I've just been sitting on the fence with it ever since he sent it.
What are you gonna put it in the chat?
Tyler Reeves. Sure. There we go. Dynasty Outhouse says, no, I'll get to it when he gets it. Superflex 12 team, Mac, Tanny, Burks, and a late 23 first or Allen. Superflex, obviously. Like he says. I guess
it's still like Josh Allen gives you the biggest above the replacement. I don't see Mac Jones being any more than like a low end QB1.
I think he could be a low end.
Yeah, like mid QB2, high mid low end QB1. Tannehill is about as average as it gets. I like Burks. I like the first. It's close, but I still think it's Allen because he gives
I think even
above everybody.
Even if the 3 players hit their upside plus a first, it's substantial, but I think you'd probably still rather Allen in most cases. I would side with Allen too. Personally, I take the side with the pick. That's normally our philosophy, but not this week. There are some players.
He's talking about the Woods in the first.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I was going to say there are some players like the players that are legitimately worth 3 firsts. I think you keeping them to win unless your team just needs to rebuild. That's where you start cycling those players. There's no point continually trying to find the unicorn.
Well, but
like Allen, Jefferson,
but I would want more than that for Allen if I am rebuilding.
Even if you're rebuilding, that's why I didn't qualify.
Alan's so young that I don't think he's not a player that you need to get rid of unless you're trying to be bad. Well, if you're trying to be bad, then you want more than Mac, Tannehill, Burks, and a first for.
I mean, it's awkward for some, but like he's better. He's been better than Patrick Mahomes every year they've both been in the league. Maybe not as much fun. You would rather have Allen every single year.
I just took him at 101 in the Scott Fish Bowl.
There's no reason. There's no reason not to buy him there. Appreciate your time, gents. No problem, man. It's free. No one pays our time. It's cool. But I appreciate that you do. 12-team Superflex, half-point PPR, start 9. 9 standard. I've been building that draft sheet, and I remember that's about normal. Target AJ Dillon and trade. Value, but yeah. I wouldn't give up Mooney and Cooks for him.
But it doesn't. Mooney or Cooks, neither of those gets it done.
It doesn't get it
to
done.
get
That's
those
why.
guys. Nope.
You would have to add both. No, not for me. I like the energy. Like I want to get Dylan. I might send Cooks. I think Mooney's got a little more upside left, and I don't think anyone values Cooks right. So I don't think he gets it done like Zach says. If you have either of those trades on the book, I think it's about fair. Yeah, it's definitely. That's good. But I really rather keep Mooney.
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah.
Gary Russell, talk about quarterback scoring. All right, Russell. No, hang on. What do you think of having QBs score the same points per yard rushed as they do per yards thrown? 6 points per all touchdowns or points for higher completion percentage. Kind of like a Scott Fishbowl adjustment.
You're
trying to value good quarterbacks,
but nerfing rushing. Because I think it's like what 0.25 per rush yard and 0.1 for a passing yard. So if you bring it down to 0.1, you're nerfing the rushing quarterbacks.
And trying to value passing quarterbacks.
Yeah, to me, Gary, it depends on what you want to do. Like there is a scoring setting out there for whatever you want to do, however you want to build your league. So figure out what you want to do first. If you want to nerf the rushing quarterbacks, that's a good way to do it. If you want to do the points for higher completion percentage, the Scott Fishbowl scoring for quarterbacks, I think is really good in terms of striating the good quarterbacks and the bad quarterbacks. And if you want, Gary, you can DM me at Tacit Assassin 13, and I've got Kyle Lebrecht does the commissioning for my home league. And he has a really good quarterback scoring that's quarterback premium. We play in a one quarterback league, but the quarterback premium is such that the quarterbacks, the upper level quarterbacks are really valuable. And so that's how we kind of do it. But you really need to figure out what you're trying to accomplish with your scoring settings before you start tinkering with them.
I think that's part that tweaks my interest because I like a scoring system that I know pretty well. I enjoy the challenge of figuring out Scott Fishbowl and where are the edges, and you might find more room to maneuver because you might figure out something earlier than someone else does, and there isn't a plethora of content to tell them before you get in there and take advantage of some stuff. But it's kind of why I like a vanilla scoring as well because I feel like this change and others is trying to balance fantasy football. I don't understand it's what you're trying to do. If you want the scoring in some way balanced or to reflect the NFL or how valuable certain quarterbacks are, play your game. I have no such goal, so I don't know how to it's just a different scoring system. I would enjoy breaking it down and seeing where I would value different players, but I mean, none are better or worse. The only thing I like better is not necessarily having to do that when I've got 6 leagues running.
Just don't think about it.
But it sounds like an interesting one. I think it would do a similar thing to Scott Fishbowl, where you create, like Zach said, you create a greater striation, but not nearly as good as Scott Fishbowl does. By giving negative points for interceptions and not devaluing rushing, you create. It's a really interesting. I'm going to keep using Zach's word, striation that Scott Fishbowl creates, because there's like quarterbacks that you cannot pass up. If they're in the top 12, you need 2 of them. And you're dominant in that division, even in the Scott Fishbowl with all these teams drafting. But if you, outside of that, you want one top 12, one top 24, maybe, but there's no difference between quarterback 12 and 24, despite the strike. So you can come up with a lot of unintended consequences like that. I think it's interesting, but I've got no measuring stick that I think scoring should do, so I don't know how to evaluate it, Tyler Reeves, I'm ready to get off the AJ Brown train. What happens, man? All off season, people are getting on and off trains with nothing happening. It's like the trains are just at the station and people are jumping on and off like they're really trying to catch timing of a thing that's not running yet. And I don't what happened? Why does everyone suddenly not like AJ Brown again? I ended up really liking him in the Scott Fishbowl because of where he's going. About a month ago, I did another evaluation of my ranks and said I'm probably a little out on AJ Brown in Dynasty because he's a little too high. But in a redraft context, that upside I think was appropriately discounted. Where did I end up getting him? I don't even know anymore. The draft was like yesterday. I can't expect to be expected to remember things that happened yesterday. I think I got him like it's right here. It was right here. Let's see. I got him in the 4th round, and to me that's decent upside there. But yeah, who is it possible to target or targets with trading him? According to his value, you should be able to get almost anything. But I think because of his injury risk profile, it's slightly. Again, when looking at non-pure comparisons, like Stephon Diggs because he's older, or
Higgins is close. I think
Higgins because he's
he's a wide receiver 2 on his team. Peter, he can't be any good.
Yeah. Jalen Waddle would be a really interesting one.
We should do a podcast about how 4 NFL teams a year have 2 top 24 wide receivers,
something like that. Yeah. I would move off of the wide receiver. I got interesting trade targets, and I really like JJ Zacharyason's idea of not targeting players, but looking at players on your roster you want to move. It's interesting having a wider range of players you're interested in trading for. But I also find it a good exercise to have certain players that you're in on and out on, and generally targeting in leagues. And for that list, I've got ones that I would get if I got them at a discount, like Deontay Johnson, Darnell Mooney, Juju Smith-Schuster, plus something for AJ Brown, plus a lot for AJ Brown. And then I've got younger players that I'm pretty interested in, like Jalen Waddle, who I would take any kind of trade as long as I wasn't giving up too much to get that trade done. So I would probably leave the. I try not to do same position trades like that.
Would you? This is what I would be trying to do with AJ Brown. I'd be trying to pair him with either a pick or another player and try to move up to get Kyle Pitts, or I would trade him and move down and get something with a player like Kittle. So, because I think that's a place.
Tight end's interesting.
Yeah, the tight end position, and because AJ Brown right now in DLF ADP is going at wide receiver 8, you've got some room to play with. There are enough people excited about him that's what I would be trying to do, is attack tight end, because tight end is a position where you can gain a huge positional advantage with guys who are going in that same range as AJ Brown. You might have to pair something with him to get Pitts. You probably get something with Kittle to give up AJ Brown. But either way, you're gaining an advantage at that position where it's a lot harder to do that at the other positions.
Yeah, I guess I wish I could provide more actionable information. I can tell you what I do. I look at my team. I look at other people's team in the league, and I try to decide what do I need what situation is my team in, and which direction do I want to go. And if I've got AJ Brown and he's someone on my roster I'm looking to move, is it because I'm not trying to win this year, in which case I'm trying to tear down and go to Amon-Ra St. Brown or Devontae Smith or Elijah Moore and picks value on value, or you could go to tight end, or I probably wouldn't go to running back in that situation, but it's not impossible. Or do I have a spare AJ Brown and I want to push this year and I'm not sure on his value continuing, in which case I'm like, I want to go get Elijah Moore plus something, or I want to go up even higher. What do I have to do to turn AJ Brown into Jonathan Taylor's too high, Christian McCaffrey's probably too high, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones,
right?
Elijah Mitchell, and how can I balance that trade? So I get values always a consideration, but that's kind of how I decide. It's what do other people's rosters look like, and what am I doing with my team? So I have no exact one-to-one. I often switch to the tight end position because you're right. A lot of people kind of, especially when you're offering someone on the level like AJ Brown, it feels like a win to get AJ
getting
Brown
a wide receiver 1,
for a tight end. And if you get the right value addition, I think it's really decent. And now I go back and forward on Kyle Pitts. It feels like you should, but I think his value hasn't dropped in ADP at least. Like, it's still an all or nothing position if he doesn't, and he should. He really should, which is why I don't like it. But he should catch, more than one touchdown this year. And that's all he really has to do. Not catch just one touchdown. Catch more. Not 0, the other direction. And suddenly he's the next. it was all worth it. So I'm more interested in going a Kittle route, to be honest with you. Fairmouth as well. It's kind of a discount version. But yeah, that's why I can't name a player. It's more what does your team look like, which direction it's going, and what do the other teams in the league have to offer for the directions they're going. Sean, 12-team Superflex PPR, start 10. That makes sense. Traded Godwin, McLaurin, don't hate it, for Judy, Sky Moore, and a 23 first. Okay, and Fairmouth. That sounds like a walk-away win. I like that trade.
Yep. Yeah. I'd take that in a heartbeat. Your side of that with Judy Moore, the first, and Freiermuth. I'm really worried about Terry McLaurin this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, when he didn't break out this year into the top 12, he's now more likely to continue being a top 24 guy, if nothing else.
Well, and I'm worried that they will be. Pairing him with Wentz concerns me. Because the way McLaurin gets open and the way Wentz sees players get open is different. And I know you don't, you're laughing at me because you're like, I can't see that in the numbers. But like, if you watched, it's very similar to when you watch Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott needs the guys who create separation before he throws it, because he needs to see players open before he throws the ball. And Wentz was that way, especially in Philadelphia. I didn't watch enough of him in Indy to know, but I do know he checked down a heck of a lot.
I was gonna say, no, I don't hate that at all. I think that's what I was gonna say. Terry McLaurin is now at this point for me kind of like a discount DJ Moore. Like, it's not like I don't like the player. It's not like I didn't think he had more upside, but the conversation is constantly his situation might be slightly better this offseason, and we'll believe almost anything that suggests that with no real reason. He needs a better quarterback, and yeah, neither of them have got it. So, yeah. I mean, that's just where we are. Tyler Reeves. Bell says books. Okay.
Vrabel, the coach of Tennessee, traded AJ Brown to get Burks.
Yes, he does. Paul Cicero, Pete, kudos to you a couple of weeks ago. You did a marathon 3-hour show by yourself after being 90 minutes late. All jokes aside, seriously impressive. Yeah, I don't know. The open bar used to have a thing about their longest show, and I don't know what it is about me and this, but I just keep I don't feel it. Like I did, what was it, a 12 or 18 hours live stream for Scott Fishbowl 9 or so. No one noticed, but we raised a little bit of money.
I jumped in. Harrison and I both jumped in.
Occasionally someone came on. I'm fine to keep sitting around and talking Dynasty. Like, ask Zach every time he tries to come and do a 30-minute episode with me. We end up talking for 3 hours. I just cut up I don't think Zach and Jacob, and we didn't even get through, we got through 90% of it. I would say that's what made the cut. But I'm not a big talker either, but I'm happy to just kick it.
I don't think Jacob Rickroad knew what hit him with that.
He did not. At the end, everyone looked like he had done an actual marathon. I was like, oh, go, you look tired. And everyone kept bringing up they had kids and stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, great. Got to go. But, and kind of a degenerate. Ignoring people talking to each other. That's a policy to help us skip. Dobbins, 23 mid-second. Don't know if it's mid yet, but sure. For Bateman, Damian Pierce, and a mid-20. Yeah, that's
Bateman, Damian Pierce, and a mid-first. Yep.
This first for a first business worries me because I can't see either team. So. And also I hate projecting it that way, but I think
I don't even care if Bateman, it's mid,
and a first, it's fine. I think they're switching first is the thing.
No, it's it's a 23 second. Dobbins in a second. Bateman, right. Pierce in a first, and
that's easy then.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Dobbins didn't have the upside before people started talking about how he was apparently injured. I don't know he's injured, but
he said he's not as injured as other people say, but.
And I'm not gonna. I don't know. I do know that Lamar Jackson's going to occupy a significant percentage of that rushing.
Yeah.
So I was there already, I guess. But I like Dobbins to play. He's good. Joe!
Yo!
Wesley! Yo. And everyone talks to Joe for a good 10 minutes.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what you do in every life stream. Corey Davis, points per game projection.
6.
Top 40 wide receiver. There you go. He's a discount Gabe Davis. I should do have a points per game projection. Do you want the points per game or the rank? What team's he on there? I've got him ranked as wide receiver 61 in points per game, which ain't great, to be honest. Jacob kind of liked him in our conversation, or at least he liked the fact no one was paying attention to him anymore, so you can get him down there in the whatevers. 9.2 points per game, projection-wise.
Seems high.
It does. Injuries, Joe Herbert, hello. Peyton Massey just joined 12-team Superflex. Congrats. Half-point PPR Dynasty League. How much more should I value quarterbacks? Significantly. My initial thought was a big boost, so took Kyler and then Hurts. Yeah, I think especially if you're starting, this is a startup, a good way to start a startup, especially if it's your first, just take as many top 12 quarterbacks as on the board. If there's a top 12 quarterback on the board, potential this year, you take that player early and often. It's not how you necessarily have to play. It's not how I rank it. But I think it's a really good way to start off a league because people forget dynasty leagues are a marathon. If you get to year 2 and you made too many bets that didn't quite work out, suddenly you're rebuilding straight away in a super flex. So it's a good way to go.
Well, and quarterbacks, like that's going to be the cheapest you ever acquire them.
Yes,
is in the startup draft. So, and then the second cheapest place you'll acquire them is in rookie drafts, but that'll be a little bit more of a crapshoot because they're not established quarterbacks.
Those are two of my dynasty rules in that video I did about basic ways I play dynasty. And the Superflex,
I should have waited another year before I said that, and then I would have hit it.
And never cheaper than in the draft. And in rookie drafts, players are never cheaper than in a rookie draft. And so you try and leverage those as often and as much as you can. Yeah. I would say it's true, but you still tier. Like the top guys go up like to round 1 and 2, and then the bottom tier or the mid tier, they go up too. Like I target that middle tier really heavily sometimes, especially when I take wide receivers or running backs early, because I want to get 3 in that middle
Cousins
tier.
And Carr.
So that my team, again, hasn't absolutely tanked if my running back turns out to be Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey last year or even A.J. Brown last year, because that can happen to you. So you want to insulate yourself with quarterback as much as possible. So if you don't go quarterback early, you go real heavy in the middle rounds, like giving up all your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sleepers.
Hey, there he is.
All is right with the world.
Hey. Are you just in time? We're going to play name game. And oh, no. Wait.
You don't. The time I just had on Dynasty Game Night, I have never been so angry. Actually, that's a lie. I've been much angrier on that show, but it was.
You could just disqualify everybody and then move another champion ahead in the tournament of champions.
I wanted to. That's how angry I got at those 3. But don't get me wrong. It was a fantastic freaking show. But they just.
Who was on?
Nathan Powell, Jeff Bell, and the Peebles champ, Dwight.
Oh my goodness.
Great group of gentlemen.
Sounds fun. When does that air or whatnot?
Whenever I am not lazy enough to actually edit something, because you actually have to edit that show.
Yeah,
which is
there's like 2 hours of dead air.
What's really funny was I totally forgot to edit Trade Addicts this afternoon. We got done recording game night at like 9:47. I went upstairs, went to the bathroom, came back downstairs, and I put Trade Addicts. I uploaded it in less than like 10 minutes because that's how little work I do editing that show. The most work I do is finding out when we actually start the show and not like just the pre-recording rambling with each other.
Dynasty
intro, outro, upload.
Dynasty Crossroads, which is the name of my podcast, by the way, director of podcasters, who doesn't know that? Because no one knows the name of my podcast, to be fair. Similar, but it's even worse. I record it, stop recording, and then upload it. Like I try and self-edit as I go, and that's the best I got.
The very, very first Trade Addicts I did, which was just me by myself in front of my computer for 10 minutes, was actually me in front of my computer for like 40 minutes, because every time I messed up a sentence, I stopped, went back, tried it again. That is not how to do it. That is, oh man, it was so bad. It sounded...
No. It's not that much work.
Russ, who you got? Kenneth Walker in the 110 or Jalen Waddle in a 1-quarterback league?
Oh, Jalen Waddle super easily.
That's where I'm at with that.
Super easily.
That was Eric's question. Sorry, Peter, I jumped you, but...
can I ask you a question, Russ? I got a commissioner question, and I was like, I'll ask Outhouse, come to the grind and listen to it. And he's like, yeah, let me know what he says. Sure, I'll do that. But I thought it was an interesting question, and I've heard you answer it before, so I thought it might be interesting. He said they're a 14-team league, switching to a 12-team league because 2 of the owners are leaving. Mm-hmm. How for go about that? Dispersal draft was my best suggestion, but is there anything more to add to that for like everyone has to drop players or people opt in, or I have no idea? Commish,
if you don't want to replace the teams, here's my thing. The easy answer is to say just put them in the rookie draft, but that's kind of crappy because you've traded picks knowing what this draft class will be, and then all of a sudden Josh Allen is in there, all these like first round people, like, so you can't really do that. I think what you need to do is, honestly, and I hate this answer, randomize an order, do a snake draft. It's really there's no...
I was worried about that, and I suggested maybe an auction is a little bit fairer than a snake draft, because it's got a random...
If it's an auction league, 1000%, pick a budget, throw an auction together. That's the most fair. But if it's a group of people that have never done an auction before, that's not super fair, because I'm still really, really, really bad at auctions, and I've done them a couple of times. But yeah, like I just feel gross saying it. It's... Pick a way to get an order. Like, don't use a randomizer. Do something silly that you guys actually have say in. Pick horses in a race, or something fun. Like, if you live near each other, run a race, or do like a free throw competition in basketball. Do something fun. But that's how you find an order and then just do a snake draft that way.
I mean, we're being sponsored by BetSperts now, aren't we? DLF is or not. Go to BetSperts. Everyone place a bet. Whoever does best.
There you go.
I mean, that could be worse. Or just a game you all enjoy watching, and you can bet on different results. And the bet is which pick you get, kind of a thing. But yeah, I think a dispersal draft, people can opt out though, right? And you can, however many players you drop is however many you can pick.
Yeah, there's like you don't have to take people. Like, the second you don't want to keep going, you don't keep going. But or drop whatever you want to, get yourself to the limit of how many people you can pick up. Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much. Zach has to be out of here at 11:30. That's the only other news, apart from the fact that Joe is here. Is it
Joe and Joe?
Joe and Joe.
A lot of Joe.
Which one? I've got 2 famous guys next.
Well, there wasn't at the time when he said that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Bob and Mike Fiala set up the Boston live draft, so I get to hang out with both Mike and Bob. It was fantastic. I get to be Vanna White on the stickers.
Oh, that's you probably look so pretty in that dress.
I tell you what, psychological warfare. I know that there are a couple guys there that had OCD, so I'm putting the stickers on at like odd angles. Absolutely. What's
Such
up?
a jerk.
Wait until the end of your clock. Just really get them. You get them annoyed.
Well, I was on the turn, and I would put my first sticker up, and then be like, "All right, I'm going to take the full 8 hours."
Yeah,
I'll be back in 8.
That was my pick. I got to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go pick up some beers first. Anybody?
I'm waiting on onion rings.
Anyone
I did
need a
have
sandwich?
a fantastic brunch. I met Leo Pasiga and his son for brunch in Boston. It was awesome.
So how much gushing did you do in front of the man?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Like
anytime you talk about him on a podcast, I hear you blushing.
He is my favorite analyst, and he literally is the guy who got me going in the direction that I am in fantasy football. I always use the Josh Ritter quote, man, I'm a ghost of a trace of a pale imitation of Leo. I paraphrase.
You're a very attractive one.
I got his hair too.
Give it back, you thief. BJ Lee wants to know if you should make any lineup changes. Yeah, bench everyone. Psychological warfare. Yeah, just got to get in there. Sean, 12 team Superflex PPR, start 10. Which side? Godwin or 23 second? Like, get out of here.
Godwin?
For me. Never.
I think it's Godwin, but just because of the second. I think Godwin and Deontay are pretty similar to me.
The DLF trade analyzer has them back to back.
Yeah, and I'll take the second.
Exactly. I don't care about 6 games.
I'll take Deontay.
It may not even be 6 games. Like they've been talking about Godwin like being ahead of schedule and running and that sort of thing.
I'm keeping my expectations low,
and that's
by
fair.
saying that is really what I'm doing. Like I'll be happy if it's less, but I'm saying 6. Just
16 team Superflex. Mac Jones or Derrick Henry?
Mac Jones. I'm not a Mac Jones fan.
16 team. It has to be the quarterback.
For the young
Henry's
quarterback?
slipped so far in value. He's not meant to be worth that much anymore. He should be, but he's not.
Like, don't get me wrong. Derrick Henry will help you win a whole lot more than Mac Jones will, but it doesn't matter. It's a 16 team Superflex league. A young quarterback is worth everything.
Like that's how my mind goes. Hey guys, 12 team Superflex. Send 23 first. Probably not. The 211 Brevin Jordan.
No. Don't send Brevin Jordan. Others to keep it. Not that side.
Get Amon-Ra St. Brown and a second. Amon-Ra St. Brown, please.
I'd probably keep the first. Sorry.
I think you can do better.
That's just a first for ASB.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the 205 in this year's draft is blah. I mean, it's 6 spots, no less.
And I don't care about
I don't. Yeah, no, just hold on to your first and figure something better to do later.
I still think, they still think I'd keep the
Currently
first.
have 6 for, just wait. Bench is blah. Do not use a 23 first to fill your bench, man. No. I don't care if you think it's going to be late. No.
It says it would make his starters good. Bench is blah.
Oh, this would make you.
It would be a starter.
I pulled a Peter. Sorry, but still, no.
Trade something less than that for Brandon Cooks. Done.
If you want points, just go for that.
Well, because he's saying I'm going to make my starters good if I get St. Brown.
Yeah,
I'd rather make my starters good with Brandon Cooks and keep my first, and then make my team dominant based on either picking or trading. Because the value of those picks, I know it's ridiculous right now. It's going to be even more ridiculous when people start talking about Bijan Robinson and like how he plays and how he's the second coming of Saquon's profile and all that. Like it's going to get even more expensive to get those picks. So don't trade it. Don't trade it for St. Brown. I mean, go get something legit with it, or tear down, go cheaper.
See, I think St. Brown's legit, so that's why I'm happy.
I mean, he's legit, but I think you can do better with the first, Peter.
That's okay. Where I'm stuck with. I do like having St. Brown on my teams, but for a 23 first at this point, it's okay. It's not great.
All right. He's on my list. He's a player I'll pay the value for. That's just what it is. Constantly thinking I can get a better deal. It drives me nuts. If I get a deal I like for a player that I want, then I'll do it.
Nobody even cares that I just hurt myself. You're still talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'm sorry, Russ. I'm sorry.
Going on the IR, guys.
So This like I was listening to an audiobook of Freakonomics. Have you ever read Freakonomics?
I have not read that. I know what it is.
I think I scanned something.
So there's a section of it that talks about the real estate market, and they started looking at real estate agents, and real estate agents sell their own houses for 10% on average higher than what they sell other people's houses for, and they wait an average of 11 days longer because they're waiting for the good deal. And to me, that's I'm going to be that real estate agent because this is my team, and I'm going to make my team as good as possible. And yeah, I'm on Ross St. Brown. It's fine, but I think I can do better.
That rings a bell. I think I watched a documentary with the authors of it. I don't think I read it. Interesting. In one of my most important leagues, I'm finally a contender by my standards and the FFPC projections.
Go get it.
Good job, Joe. I'm the second best team. That sounds awesome. More context. I'm a Lions fan, and I just want to believe. Go
Then
Lefty.
have fun. Go get it.
Do it, man.
Whatever. Like you're not going to hear me say don't have fun with your team.
Exactly.
Me and you, Lefty. We'll take them. Don't listen to these two naysayers up there. Fantasy Condo. Choose a side. Win now. 10-team Superflex half-point PPR. Jamar Chase. That side. It's that side.
It's that side.
But sure, Jamar Chase and a 24 second or a 23 first, a 24 first, Tyreek Hill, Gabe Davis, Geno Smith. I have answered. Nothing changed my mind.
Yeah, it's still it's Chase, but like
it's not bad.
It's like
really matters to me in this.
It's like 4 firsts for Chase and a second. So it's like 4 firsts for 3 firsts and a second. But
where you get 4 from?
Well, I think Hill's probably close to 2.
Here's the thing: the value's here.
I'd take Chase.
But if I'm trading Chase, I'm getting the player I want. If I'm trading Chase, I'm getting the thing that I want.
Right.
And none of those things are things that like I would go out and get.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's just for value, I mean, I guess it's there, but I'm trading all those 3 players, so why not just give me the picks?
I still think Chase is worth more than those specific pieces.
Yeah.
I think it's unreasonable to expect any more than 4 first value for any player.
I don't think it's 4 firsts.
1, 2. You don't think Tyreek Hill is worth 2?
How many 23 firsts are you giving for Tyreek Hill?
So this is okay. Hold on. 23
Well,
firsts are different than
generic value.
This is the now you're doing the Kluge thing where like he tweeted out, he's like, you know, this guy was worth this 2 months ago, but he's not worth this now. And I'm like, yes, because 2 months ago the firsts were 22 firsts, and now the firsts are 23 firsts.
Exactly.
And those are different.
What year are we going into? What firsts are we talking about?
Well, but 24, 23.
Okay, but there's a 24 first in it. Like,
but we're just talking about how many firsts is Tyreek Hill. Would you give up 23 and 24 first for Tyreek Hill?
When you
okay,
I mean,
let's pretend that your rookie draft didn't happen yet. Would you give up a 22 and a 23 first for Tyreek Hill?
Oh, I think it would be very close. Yeah, depending on my team.
Well, now you're saying what you would do instead of what he's worth, so it's a little different.
Tyreek
Hill's wide receiver 13 right now.
I don't see anyone paying over a 23 first for Tyreek Hill.
That's the thing right now. Like, who is?
Regardless,
we named like 3 players that's worth more than a 23 first. Last time we did that, I think it's a little bit of a high standard.
Regardless of all of that, we all agree that it's the Chase side.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But Tyreek Hill
trolling.
Tyreek Hill equals a random 23 first and the 208 this year to the DLF trade analyzer.
I'd do that in a heartbeat. If I have a top end team, absolutely. But it's still Chase on that. I like this. Cal is trolling. It's David Bell.
It's David Bell.
David Bell or 23-second? No, he's asking because we did this trade recently.
Oh, I'd take David Bell.
I DM'd him. He's got 2 players I like from this draft. And I was like, is it worth me trying to send offers or I'm just going to annoy you? And he's like, I know what you got. And I'm like, well, I can pick you spent on either of them with a 23 second-round pick. So that's literally all I got. And then he accepted that for David Bell. Because a 23 pick is worth more than a 22 pick.
It is, but I think David Bell's a first.
David Bell's
even though he didn't go in the first of your draft, I still think he's a first.
This works for sending away David Bell because, like Peter just said, you're more than recouping what you spent because the 23 seconds worth more than the 22. But
that was my logic. But if he wasn't interested, I was happy to go. Well, I don't want to bother you. I would have thrown a player or something on it, but he was happy with the value increase. So
that's an absolute great trade.
And I get David Bell, which was what makes it a good trade, really, when you think about it.
Of course.
Eric, is Zach drinking moonshine? Yes. Joe. Zach doesn't drink, by the way, like at all. Teetotaler over there. Joe, congrats. Joe. He's talking too many conversations. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to eavesdrop.
Oh, that's great. The chat is awesome. I love it. Makes me happy.
I love the chat. It's the only reason I come back. And you too, a little bit, I guess. Whatever. Matt says we're great. So I know about his evaluation skills, but I appreciate you.
But then he says he's trying to get George Pickens, so we're back up.
He's backed up. Net neutral so far. 12-team, 1 quarterback, half-point PPR. Thinking about Van Jefferson and who doesn't get it, right? That doesn't get it.
I don't think he gets it.
Unless it's the exact right owner and a second, to be fair. No, I don't think that gets it done. What's the highest wide receiver running back combo you'd pay for Pickens right now?
Let's see.
He's trying to get Pickens for Van Jefferson.
But he said Pickens and a 23 second.
Right.
I'm not giving a 23 second for Van Jefferson and Alexander Madison.
No. Yeah, no. Unless you got the exact right owner and he's like, Van Jefferson truther. It's his breakout year, because technically it is. He's not going to get there. A fairer offer might be. Anyone got one?
This is one where I would throw a 23 second and see if that gets it done, depending on where Pickens went. If Pickens went in the first round of your rookie draft, that's not going to happen, though.
I'd say Gabe Davis, but that's just a bit of a trope right now.
I like it, though.
Yeah, you need to trade one of those top 36 wide receivers that a player might like in a second kind of a deal. So, no, they're all too high.
If you want to go, if you're looking for... it's very hard to get rookies that haven't played yet for 2 lesser values, because everyone's just gonna sit there thinking what this rookie can be, especially a guy who was drafted still as early as Pickens was, because it still usually ends of the first.
I always think that it's like the David Bell trade. I feel really awkward sending trade offers on rookies. It's like they just drafted them. Like the value's gone nowhere yet, so you may as well have.
You're much better off doing a 1-for-1. Like that's why I think it worked for you, Peter, because like if you have a wide receiver you don't believe in, like a Chase Claypool or a Jerry Jeudy, if you don't believe in those guys, throwing them for Pickens, getting younger, getting a guy who may have bigger upside as Pittsburgh's number 1 wide receiver in a year or two, then
what about
a shot, and then add a third to any of these guys to get it done.
Problem is where he's valued right now. He's kind of valued like the old guys, and someone who's given up a rookie doesn't want. Let's see, Woods, Tyler Lockett. I love Tyler Lockett. I might be interested, but I like Pickens, so probably not.
Well,
so you're probably going to have to throw a second on one of those guys.
You also got to think, though, it depends on where you drafted Pickens. If you're getting Pickens at like the 111, 112, then you've got a pretty good team. Maybe you're okay getting, an older productive player. So that's actually. I think that's what. Peter, you go. I defer. Oh no, he's gone.
Oh yeah, you chased him away.
But yeah, like I do think that you have to look at that, because you don't like. It depends on where Pickens went, whether or not a team would be interested. I'd be kicking. I like the Gabe Davis thing. I would be looking to trade some of these running backs that people are still excited about, like a Tony Pollard, like
the first name I'm hearing, just you
yeah,
said running
like
back.
Miles
Exactly what my
Sanders,
brain
like
went.
those even. And I hate to do this, but even somebody like Ramondre Stevenson, who is has potential with the Patriots, but it's still with the Patriots, and I've seen them do this. They draft. It's fun watching Belichick do this because he always drafts pairs of players of like position. So like he'll draft 2 tight ends, and then he'll draft 2 running backs, and then he'll draft 2 quarterbacks, and he just does that's what he does. And so it as much as people like Ramondre Stevenson, as much as people like Tony Pollard, getting a potential George Pickens wide receiver 1 in Pittsburgh, like potential, not that he is, but he could be, would be interesting to me at that price.
Okay, boil it all down. If you want to trade for a rookie before their season starts, you kind of have to look at what the team you're trading to is, see where they're at. If they might be interested in older players, those are potential trade targets, and that they might be interested in. The other way is kind of, I guess, what I did with Cal, which is look to just up their value by around the next year with a straight up pick. So that depends on where Pickens was taken in your draft, and those are the 2 avenues I'd search out.
If somebody was in your league and they drafted Rondale Moore in the second, you might offer them a first in the next year's draft to try to entice them into. That's what you're saying.
Unless next year's draft is 2023. That's the thing. That's where we come to. That class is just being treated a little different. I think we're real close, if not already there, where the 23 market in most leagues is priced out. They're now no longer trade.
That's true.
Right now, they are not liquid assets. They are players almost because they're too up there. They're not tradable above their value. But like you say, that will change the closer we get to the draft. So.
And you'll have that like in season 2 where people are trying to get players because they need points, and you'll be able to acquire 23 picks for players who are scoring. There'll be later 23 picks because it'll be the upper teams in your league, but that's another point where you can acquire 23 picks.
Okay, bits of news in the NFL that I guess we should spend some time on before we get questions on them. Leonard Fournette is apparently like 700 pounds now. How do you react to that kind of information at this? Someone asked me, I said, I'm worried because the weight issue we've seen come to fruition. Like a running back has not performed after being mentioned at this point in the offseason as being unhealthy weight-wise. And we've seen that happen. Even after a good ceiling, Carlos Williams springs to mind. Not that Lenny is Carlos Williams. But the other half of me is like, this is a dead news cycle. That's just something that's getting a little more run than it would ordinarily.
And it happened with him before. Sorry. I just got frustrated. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
No, I'm asking how you process it? Just, it's nothing. It's a dead news cycle. Or is there ever a point where that kind of news is concerning? Nope.
It's very rare something like this has ever meant anything. How many times have we seen those pictures of Zeke? Well, Ben Roethlisberger did look like an offensive lineman, but how many times have we seen those pictures anyway? Like, who cares?
It was just a picture of him.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was a new team report. They were unhappy with his progression this offseason.
It was this. He looks much better than I do at this point.
I'm not.
You're not getting.
So it's not Rashad White season. That's what you're saying. Yet
it is not.
We're gonna have to wait a while. Okay. And the other report, I guess the only one I can think of is another running back, and that's J.K. Dobbins not going to be available early. Maybe J.K. Dobbins says you're a liar. I'm going to side with J.K. Dobbins so he doesn't hurt me. Not that he would. He seems like a very gentle giant. But yeah, I for injuries, I don't know till I see it. But it did make me make sure I acquired Tyler Batty with my next pick in the Scott Fishbowl, just in case on a lockdown. The Tyler Batty roll.
It was
any
funny.
Nudges for you?
I was on the clock I had made my pick. I just made back-to-back kicker picks at the turn, and everyone's like, "Oh, look, Dobbins!" And so Gus Edwards and Beatty went like the next 2 picks, and then Dobbins came back and was like, "Nah, I'm fine." So I was like, "Okay." Although I do like the Beatty pick, Peter, because if
I like the player, to be honest. I know we were so deep. I was drafting back at running back. So
Yeah,
I was like,
he's a real good pass catcher. He's decent between the tackles. He's small, but it's not that's not a
even with
bad.
a healthy,
Yeah.
even with a healthy J.K. Dobbins, I think there's going to be a split there, and he could easily be the second instead of the third, and you
Yep.
never know. Not that you just don't want Lamar Jackson, to be fair, but yeah. I ended up drafting Mark Ingram. I don't know. I did a lot of pre-drafting. Someone complained they had to wait 3 hours for my first pick, and I was like, oh, I can't let that happen again. Letting the side down. And so I just pre-drafted every chance I got. And I ended up with a lot of interesting players.
Gilchrist is the worst.
Bob Gilchrist
Yes,
is
he
the
is.
worst.
He just took
He
David
is the
Bell in the
worst.
Scott Fish Bowl.
Oh, he sucks so bad. I
Yep.
hate him. Hey, Lefty. Again. Have I gone backwards in time? might have
I
gone
got freaked out. I'm like, oh man, who drafted David Bell in my draft? I did.
I nearly did, but I went so wide receiver heavy so early. I didn't.
I did not.
I'm projected to win my league this year, but I don't feel great about my team. Juju, Gabe, Mitchell, Burks. Trade Gabe Davis.
Jackson means absolutely nothing. So just ignore that and then feel good about your team.
There you go. 12 teams who flex half point PPR start 10. Lamar and Lance at quarterback. Pretty decent. Swift, Javonte. A lot of hope. A lot of hope in this team. Justin Jefferson, Ayuk, Mooney, Elijah Moore, Devontae Smith. It's a young team. TJ Hawkinson. 623 first. Yeah, sounds pretty good. The cow guy. It's a shiny roster that any Dynasty man will be proud to own.
This is literally the point of Dynasty, your team right now. Use those bursts.
You're not trying to win. You're just trying to make us all draw. And good job.
And it worked. Like what you can turn this team into, even if just you trade them when you get closer to like, don't trade for old production. If you can go get like, if you can go get T. Higgins, if you can go get Jalen Waddle, those young guys that you're still building around, that's the only thing I would spend 23 firsts on. Otherwise, don't go by points. Just wait till the season gets going.
But good points.
Yeah, if you're going to buy points, you make them young points.
And people miss this the way we dismiss shiny rosters. The reason it's good is because the only way to manage your team, to change your team's fate in season or in the off season, is with value. That's why we like it. So you have all the money to spend what you need to win and maybe still keep competing over the next year or so, 2 years, hopefully. And that's why shiny things are a little underrated sometimes. Shiny things are good because they buy things. That's why we like them. Cal's sticking around this time. I like it. How do I do in my rookie draft from the 103? One quarterback, start 9. I tried to trade back, but no one was biting. Got Burks, Bell, Dubs, Bellinger. Oh, yeah, it's
the tight end.
I think it's really good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean,
there was positive news on Greg DeLuche. He was one of my Bellinger Phillips level picks. Just that guy. I've heard that guy's name. Kind of a pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, value swings before the season starts. That's probably the last good news I'll hear about him, but I was interested in it. But the picks that really matter, you did great with. I think Burks and Bell are two that I target in this draft. Dubs is a really interesting flyer wherever you got him, probably, as long as it was outside the second round. It's interesting. So, yeah, I think it's fine. A-, because he didn't get Breece Hall. Really, that's the only thing you could, Did you draft Breece Hall? A. Anything else? Very, very shades of B. That's this year's class, right? Have I got a time delay going?
No, we're just not laughing at your jokes.
Oh.
I didn't laugh.
It's fine. Thank you. Would you trade a 23 first and third for CD?
Yes.
Like that's what you do with one of your 23 firsts.
Yes.
Brendan, why is the Buffalo backfield so undervalued?
Because their best running back wears number 17.
Does Josh Allen wear number 17? You can't do that thing for me.
Yes,
It's like when
yes,
people
he does.
post a picture of a player on Twitter and it's like, yeah, and I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Or to quote some idiot doing a parody song of Green Jelly's "The Three Little Pigs," remember Josh Allen's daddy in the Scott Fishbowl.
Laugh at his joke. Actually, I would say Singletary is getting a lot more talk because of
I like
him drafted
Singletary.
significantly above Mudd. He's fine, but like there's talk about him. Like I don't know it warrants excitement.
he'll
Like,
be a
Singletary's not
low-end
going to break out
RB2.
this year. He's fine. He's like
Yeah.
whatever. A team in my league had 1140 rookie draft picks. What?
11 of the 40.
11 of the 40, thank you. And 22. He is now 8 players above the roster limit. Am I right to force him to sell cheap knowing he needs to cut vets? No. I mean, no.
If he doesn't have to, then he's not. Why would he? He doesn't have to do anything if he doesn't have to do anything.
He's over the roster limit. He's got to get rid of players.
Right. So, offer him. See if you can get players on the cheap. If not, be first on the waiver wire.
You can't force him to do anything because he can just choose to drop them anyway.
No, but you could send offers of, and maybe he'll take them instead of cutting players. But you're gonna have to send.
But you're gonna have to give him
players
picks.
he's most likely to
It's
cut.
just
Yeah,
You're gonna have to
have
give him
one
picks.
word in there. Am I right to force him?
Right,
No,
right.
He doesn't have to.
yeah.
Are you right to send those offers? Oh yeah.
But you're
That's
gonna
the right word.
have to give him picks in order to, because he's already above the roster limit. So like giving him players is not going to help.
Unless
for
you're
ones, I'm
willing
gonna
to
retract
one to
them.
two some of his lower end players.
Maybe,
That
but even
doesn't
then, you
really-
still got to cut it. Like if you're above a roster limit, like I don't know,
Get him closer to the limit at each trade.
Yeah, I guess.
And these are 22 rookies. It's not like you can give them your 22 picks to get out of them. So it'd be 23 or 24. So, I mean, if you can find a good one, I'd send it. But to Russ's point, you can't force him. Joe Herbert, AJ Brown is the Ford Taurus of SHO of the fantasy world. His value is all over the board.
I don't know.
All I see is that makes Treylon Burks the Fusion hybrid because that's the next iteration of the Taurus, which was also discontinued.
Is Michael
Sorry,
Thomas
I
home?
drive a Fusion. I used to drive a Taurus.
That's-
I know this.
why I said if that's what makes you happy.
What is Michael Thomas worth in Dynasty? Like a second? I give a second to trade for him. I wouldn't trade him away for a second. So I think that's the over-under.
I would gladly take a second for him.
He's the player that you're not going to get enough if you've got him on your roster to make it worth trading him, and if he's not on your roster, you're not going to pay enough to make it worth somebody else trading. Like it just, and he could be fantastic. Michael Thomas is a hold for now. At the very worst, he is that wide receiver who died on your roster, and you got a whole, you got some good years out of him. I
think his injury is for real, at least this year. Just too many actual good injury analysts saying he should have been further along at this point. But even then, he's young enough; he could be a story next year. But you're right; he's either dying on your roster or he's not.
Well, but you like
already,
so you might as well hold him. So. Because if he comes back and does well, then he's got value again, whether it's points or somebody else wants him for points. But right now, I don't think you're getting anything for him.
I agree. A second plus would tempt me. A second plus a deep wide receiver I like. And Russ is even below that. Just a second would send him scurrying. Joe, hey guys, if you haven't listened to the recent Dynasty crossovers with Peter and Zach and Dynasty Dummies with Zach, then go listen after. Seriously, they're great episodes on most Dynasty strategies and profiles. Yeah, I've
not listened to it yet.
I actually just started the new Dynasty Dummies. I haven't finished it yet.
It's got an Easter egg at the end where I did all 11 Scott Fishbowl parodies at the end. So that's really, I think, probably what Joe is talking about, because the chances of me saying anything intelligent in the first 42 minutes of that is not high. But I just caught a fly.
I'm
Nice.
so ready to listen to all of those straight through.
I still have the link to, speaking of great songs, Gabe Gearing. He's got, I don't know what it is. It's a place people store their songs online to share them, and he's I think accidentally sent me the link to it once, and every now and again that's my playlist just to listen to all the fantasy theme songs.
He's so good.
So
good. It's a
I
SoundCloud.
have yours.
I don't have a SoundCloud. I started loading things on SoundCloud, and they flagged all my music because they're all parodies, and so they think I'm copyright infringing. And I'm like,
I get flagged every video I upload to YouTube. They're like, this is copyright. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's fair use, my friend.
Yep, I have to challenge it. Not that I can't monetize anyway, so it doesn't matter. Sorry, we got sidetracked there. Alec. He has Justin Jefferson, Lamb, AJ Brown, Bateman, Judy, Elijah Moore, Pitts, Gibson, CEH, Henderson. This is my roster. Melvin Gordon, similar to one of my rosters. Derek Carr, one quarterback. PPR. Should I trade to get some running back help, assuming I'm a contender? Do have my 23. Keep your 23 first. This team's good enough. You don't need to spend it.
I mean, if you wanted to throw one of your running backs and Bateman or Judy, like one of your running backs and Judy to upgrade, wait till closer to the season. But
yeah,
that's kind of what I would do.
I keep the first and I try and use my players to tier up, but wait till you really get a sense of where the season's going.
And you also have a super young team. So again, like that last one, don't rush it.
Gibson's a solid 1, CEH is a really solid 2, and Henderson's a great like flex running back. So I think you're actually good to start the season. And CEH, I hate to say it, still has some upside. You never know.
He does. I know.
If this was one of Russ's leagues, where because he does the you have to start one wide receiver, you have to start one running back, and then everything else is flex, I'd be real happy with this lineup.
That's a little having to start 2 running backs makes it a little rougher.
Yep.
It does. But I think you're good to start the season. And then, like Bruce says, you got the horses if you really need to change the stars. No. Thanks, Joe. I'll give it a listen. Don't worry about that one. Listen to Zach's. It's better.
No. Honestly,
Honestly,
Jacob Rickroad is brilliant. Like, listen to Jacob. Like,
Jake.
Heck with me and Peter. Like, listen to Jacob, and then
he was one of the
with
first...
my podcast, it's J Mike. I mean, you might as well.
He was one of the first people I heard guest on a podcast. Jake
Rickroad. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that guy's really smart. I might not be good at this
maybe. One more 223 firsts. Rebuilding.
If all I have is Waddle on a rebuilding team, yeah, I guess.
No, not for me. I keep Waddle because I want the wide receivers unless I'm ready to go at it.
Yeah, unless I'm like if you're stuck with Waddle and nothing else on your team to move, I do that. You gotta spread my assets out and then try and do something with the 23 first. Like, but if you're just like, if you have a lot of value on your team, hold on to Waddle. Like, there's no reason to move him.
I would rarely move Waddle just for his value, but this is fair value if you have to.
It is.
Is that what we're saying?
Yep. It comes down to roster construction.
Yeah. It comes down to where you are in that rebuild.
If you need a quarterback in that superflex, then take the firsts.
That's fair.
Check Spotify, all the usual podcast places have got the Dynasty Dummies podcast. What do they have to search now for yours?
Avi is. Oh, that's so good.
DFPN Network.
You have to search the DFPN Network. Okay.
Yeah.
And mine's just Dynasty Crossroads. Which
you could probably search the Dynasty Dummies and it would come up too. But
that's why I don't
Chris Farley.
I think we should cover this. Yeah, no. Off-season news, kind of a dead news cycle, kind of makes it sound suspicious.
There's at least one every year.
I would chase it down, and I'm pretty sure Zach's right. It's mostly a picture and maybe a coach saying something. There's not like an official report or, he wasn't able to finish training or something.
Yeah, if you search Dynasty Dummies,
it comes
up under. Yeah.
Is it?
I'm not laughing. You don't laugh at my jokes. Hard to say, but where do you see Deontay's value 2 years from now? That's a good question to ask. He's points at this point. He's going to be one of those players that ends up being Brandon Cooks. His points are worth more than him. So, yeah, probably lower than where it is right now.
Yeah,
but I like
he will always
players,
be better for his NFL team than he will be for your fantasy team. Especially in 2 years from now.
It'd be always better for your redraft team than your dynasty team.
Also that, yes.
But he'll be fun to acquire cheap in Dynasty and
play
like
that's
a,
the thing,
I mean, it is. It's exactly what you said. It's a Brandon Cooks. It's a Jarvis Landry. It's that type of player.
Sir.
Jarvis is coming back this year hard, though.
There you go. There's a good line. The minute Brady's out here saying he should really get on my TB12 diet, then maybe I'll stop worrying. Is that still
get that man some avocado ice cream? Let's go.
Avocado ice cream isn't bad. Just put it out there.
I like avocados in general.
It's not good, but it's not bad. Like nothing is ice cream if it's not ice cream, but avocado ice cream is.
Give me gelato, Russ. Tear up. Let's go.
Yes, fair.
Nicholas J, where would be your ideal draft spot in a 12-team Superflex startup and non-tight end premium? I mean, the honest answer is
Boston
101 does.
Oh, sorry.
Does give you third round reversal, does change that. 101 just wins. I mean, I know I like to galaxy brain it, but the earlier a pick, technically, the more value you have. I love being on the turns. I like taking 2 players at a time or close to it, but strict up numbers wise, the earlier you pick, the better.
I've lost hair about spot, mostly because I don't usually stay at my spot anyway, but
yeah.
I don't know. I guess I haven't seen, with the amount I change my teams around, I haven't really seen much correlation between any of it anyway. I've read preference.
I haven't even studied it. I've just read other studies that have consistently, on most years, the 101 gives you the most value. But unlike you, it depends on how the draft goes. I mean, if the guy in the 101 likes Breece Hall really that much, it's going to change things, But
this year, I think I want to be somewhere in the 107, 108 range because that's how many quarterbacks I think are in that upper. Look, if you there's a little bit of a tier in that top tier, but I think there are 7 or 8 quarterbacks. Like I'm not going to be disappointed if I come out with Russell Wilson.
Okay, that was good. Okay,
and then you come around in the second and get whichever, whoever you want, whether you're getting CeeDee Lamb or you're getting a running back or whatever, and then you get the third round reversal where you're coming back again, so you end up with 3 players in the top 30. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I was curious if you were going for the bottom of that quarterback tier or if you wanted the first non-quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, and that's debatable, but I think. And that would come down to Nicholas. If I knew my league mates already, if I knew this was going to be a quarterback heavy league, then I would want one of those top 8 quarterbacks. If I knew that this was going to be, then I can move. I can move back.
Who would your first non-quarterback be? Like if you were drafting, you had the 108. All of those quarterbacks went. Do you take Jonathan Taylor or do you take one of the wide receivers?
No, I mean it's a wide receiver. It's always a wide receiver for me. And so this would be another one of those go to the gelato places. But get my 5 different scoops of gelato. I'm going to get the Maine Wild Blueberry Crisp. I'm going to get the dark chocolate noir. I'm going to get something with blood orange, and then I'm going to get my change back, flip a coin, see whether it's Chase or Jefferson. But that's going to be my pick.
I'm a real big fan of avocado, by the way, which is just espresso poured on top of gelato.
Yeah.
I don't like the sound of that at all. But that's okay. I suck. I would say if there's a difference this year to most years, since that seems to be how the question's worded as well, I think Zach again is right. I think we're looking at the quarterbacks that are going to be the quarterbacks for the next 10 years, and I think we're looking at the wide receivers who are going to be the wide receivers for the next little while as well. I think running backs are going to come and go over the next few years, and then there's going to be a great class coming, maybe next year, maybe the next couple. And so this year in particular, if anything, I want inside that first 5-6 to get one of those quarterbacks. And if I lose them because I'm in the 6th spot, one of those wide receivers. And my first pick would be Justin Jefferson. Not that Russ asked me, because
My question was
doesn't care about me. Brady never expressed worry about AB, and he's stripped, mind gamed, and dipped. Yeah, sure. I don't think Brady's gonna tell us all the answers. I think that was just fun. But yeah, I think the main defense against Leonard Fournette is there's no news right now, so everything is extra newsy, and that's always a little suspect. There's a Russie Russ.
Wow.
That's how far behind.
45 minutes behind. Cool.
Norm.
I will be George Went any day. George Went any day. Bears.
Joe wants to know if you've ever loved a player because of their personality, as much as you know.
1,000% yes.
Yes. David Johnson. I still think he seems like one of the just nicest people on the planet.
Jamal Williams.
He seems pretty fun, doesn't he? Yeah,
he seems hilarious.
And then it started raining, and I was like, SpongeBob. And then it started snowing again, and I was all like, Olaf, Frozen. Yeah, oh yeah. Give me some Jamal Williams.
The reason I say David Johnson, what sticks in my mind is after his big blow-up year, he wasn't making rap albums or talking about how he's going to storm the league a little bit, but he actually went on a honeymoon to London, and all that off-season, you just saw him like traveling with his new wife and their baby, and like that was his off-season talk. Like on Father's Day, he posted the gift he got, and like that was his social media. No, how tough and broad he is. Just a nice family guy. Really enjoying this opportunity he's had, and I was like, that's just nice, man. That
even the hard knocks. He was like his. Yeah.
Yep. And I like that.
Outside
of that, Kenny Stills, I have a soft spot for a long time. I thought he was an underrated receiver for fantasy and in the NFL, and he does a lot of good charity work and stuff.
Yes.
And hardly any of us talk about that, but he's done some really great work. And that's just, I know about him because he's fantasy relevant. I know a lot of IDP players are more heavily involved in that, and I don't know them because they're not fantasy. And Kenny Stills is in there, and I
wish, Joe, that the NFL did a better job of getting us to know the play, because it's such a dehumanizing league, and by no fault of their own.
I don't recognize them. I'm guilty of it. I did it in this podcast. I don't recognize them. I don't even really know their numbers.
They put on helmets and so you don't ever get it's not like baseball where they're doing, interviews during the game and that sort of thing. It's not like basketball where you're seeing the reactions on the bench and you're seeing, guys. It's such a different game. And the NFL has actively tried to curtail personality too. Yeah, with like the Mike penalties Jones, and for taunting when they, So I wish there was more of that. I wish we got more interaction. I wish we got more of Joe Burrow doing his interviews. I wish we got more of Jamal Williams doing his. I wish we got more of that. Yeah. Like
there was an NFL lineman who did I'm pretty sure it was an NFL lineman. He did a show where he went around the world in the off season and did he experienced other people's national sports, and you would get trained in them because an athlete is an athlete is an athlete. I don't know. Here's the thing: we talked about it in anthropology class because there's this aspect of different kinds of informants where they can communicate through similar experiences despite being from drastically different. And this is really interesting. And he was trying to connect cultures and learn and bring the world a little bit closer. And it was this really interesting anthropological thing. Thing is, I'm a big NFL fan. I had no idea who he was. I still don't remember his name. And that was what I was teaching on the Bengals. And it always just struck me how separate the players are from their stat lines. For that. Yeah. And there are many of them doing so many great things like that. Like that had a legitimate impact between communication between different cultures in different countries. It was just some NFL lineman who's like, I'm going to do this. And the film crew was like, we'll film that. It was pretty cool. So there are probably many more, like Zach says. Anyway, we got way too into that. Joe, I
love that sort of thing.
That's the good stuff.
12-team Superflex half-point PPR. He is retooling, specific definition. Christian Kirk, 2:23 seconds, get 23 first, 23 third. DJ Chark, don't care much. Khalil Shakir, I think he's interesting, but
he's the next Gabe Davis.
This is Kirk for a first. Right?
I'd rather have the
Roughly.
first.
2 seconds.
And you'd rather have the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with the 2 seconds,
Doesn't that
I'll take
balance
the
out?
first in Chark.
Yeah.
You love Christian Kirk. You need to abstain.
No, I'm with you.
Recuse yourself.
The answer is the first. Because what gets me with like the 2 seconds for a first is like two of those picks could be really close to each other. Like you could be talking the 110, 202, and 203, and like at that point, I'll take the 2 seconds. Of course, it's all a gamble because you have absolutely no idea, but but the answer is yes. Take the safety with that number 1 in front and go with the first. Yeah, that's the right answer.
Plus, you can walk around and go, DJ Chark, do.
You're a jerk.
I'm starting to root for Keyshawn Vaughn. He's cheap enough. I've added him to the back of a few rosters. I found him on the waiver wire somewhere, I think. It's like total introvert, and they say he's old, so I didn't even know that.
I never heard of him. I never heard about him as a human before.
We need more. We need more.
Yes.
Like
what? Hey, notice how anyone
players.
So was an old soul, an ancient warrior, a man who was once Joan of Arc. Like they're all famous. Sorry, it's weird. The only thing anyone ever said about my soul was someone who liked that kind of mystic stuff was like, I think this is your first time round. And I don't know how they meant that. I don't know how they meant that, but I was like,
that's a bit of an insult.
I think this is your first time around, but have you heard about vacated targets?
I was like, I think of myself as a grumpy old man, but I get what you mean. Yeah, I am remarkably new-faced, almost. Joe, Lenny said Vaughn was one of the hardest workers in practice today. I love those reports, but it's also fantasy-wise what I used to make fun of Jake for. So I probably.
Oh yeah, no.
I like the next one.
Love players talking about other players.
I like the next one that where Joe says he does charity work for his home. See, like that sort of thing. I'm in with that. Like that's cool.
Yeah, very. I don't know what these initials mean, so I'm just gonna.
That's the
introvert.
Yeah.
They're
right.
I forgot what they mean.
Cool. I'm about to take David Bell, my Scott Fishbowl draft while Zach is on the show, and he can't do anything about it.
That's how far back we are. But yep.
I believe it was Daddy's home that whispered in someone's ear during a live draft.
It's the same draft. He said
that's cold-blooded, man.
It's cold-blooded. It was Coupe fiasco, and Coupe took whoever his pick was, and then it was coming down to Mike, and he just walked up and was like, "I'm taking Evan Ingram, and there's nothing you can do about it." And it was just beautiful.
That man is beautiful.
Yeah.
All these acronyms, I feel like I'm at work. Smash the like button if you so choose. To be fair, Myers-Briggs, but yeah, I've heard of those. I just pay no attention to them. And they're like, yeah. I definitely know what they are. I just never bothered remembering. Startup picks. I traded my 302, 411, 502 for a 23 first and a 23 first for the 112, 201, the 601. What do you think? You traded away your 23 first to...
Yeah, but you got a first round pick.
Yeah, no, that seems
good.
It's good. The fact you got the first and the second.
First and the second, yeah.
Is what makes that good. And the 6 is like a wonderful kicker.
That's 3 picks in the first 13 right there.
That's pretty significant.
Because it would have been the 102.
Yeah, you're assuming they still have their first as well.
Well, because it didn't say they traded it.
Exactly,
So Nico was picking 102, 112, 201. Like, that's a pretty good start. Like, if you have 3 of
and
the
they
top
say there's
13
somewhere to
players,
go with that value. 23 picks are going to get more value. That's pretty good. What did I do now, Joe? Dang it.
What you
valid.
I'm
I don't even know what it is. It's valid.
I'm always doing stuff that's wrong. Yeah. Not correct. I really just think it's a dead news cycle kind of a thing. Right now, that's where I'm at. More concern would be more concerning, but right now I don't care. Cody, 10 team, 1 QB PPR, start 9. AJ Brown and 25 second.
Second.
Wow. For DK and Adam Thielen.
I think I'd rather have AJ Brown at this
I
point.
would rather have AJ Brown, but that's fine.
I mean,
I think
yes.
the value is on AJ Brown because AJ Brown's worth more than DK, and I guess a 25 seconds fine for Thielen because it's so far away. But
I'm really concerned about Drew Lock in Seattle. Close your ears,
Be a
earmuffs for
one-year
uh, I think we're all really concerned about Drew Lock. I think that's fair. Leonard Fournette or James Conner?
I'd take Fournette, but
James Conner, the unofficial running back of the Dynasty Grind. Had a question about him every
I'm sorry,
episode. Thank you, Spock. Leonard Fournette.
yes.
But the servant waits while the master baits. Anyone? I have been so.
That's you think that's. I'm not gonna ask. It's fine.
Go get cultured. Watch some Mel Brooks movies.
Never.
I told you, Mel Brooks wrote a children's movie, or did I not tell you?
You did not tell me.
It's called Paws of Fury. I didn't realize it was Mel Brooks until I got there. I took the boys.
I knew he was in it. I didn't know he wrote it.
So yeah, he like
go to see that.
And so I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, like he pops up, and he's like, "It's good to be the Shogun." And I was like,
he didn't.
"This is great."
Maybe that's what movie that my quote was from. It's from History of the World. Sorry, you can keep going.
Did I gaze this up?
I'm trying to read it. 12-team Superflex PPR, 2 tight end. I guess you have to start 2. Start 10.
Yeah, 2 4 tight ends. It's a premium.
Okay. So on all 23 picks in a startup for extra budget. Got Lamar, Kyler, Jamar, Jefferson, Olave, Pickens, Hall.
No, you did not gaze this up. You did a good job.
You did a very good job.
I would say that would be the opposite of gaze, in that you did somewhat of a good job.
Yeah.
GCAF. Sorry, this one is long. No problem. We're used to that. Have you heard us talk? Trying to decide of what I want to compete. Okay. 12-team 1 QB PPR. I have QBs Tua, Watson. Unfortunate. Swift, Javonte, Higgins, Waddle, DK, Deontay Johnson. I would try and compete. I think with this roster. I mean, you're fine.
Yeah. Again, it's the same answer as the last 2 we've had of this. If you can go get Higgins, no, wait, never mind. If you can go get Waddle, oh yeah, wait, never mind. You know, like if you can do something with those first that will give you young points, like go get CD Lamb for one of those. Yeah, cool, but I wouldn't do anything for the sake of competing because your team is so young and so good that just don't rush it. Again,
I would look at leveling up with those seconds and try to level up from DK, try to level up from Deontay Johnson, and maybe try to level up from Ayuk. Like with Ayuk, I might be trying to go get Ayuk in a second to go get Sutton with Deontay Johnson. Throw a second and again, just try to level up those players.
Yeah. Try Ayuk and Swift. Try to get to Barkley. Try to get to CMC. Maybe JT.
I mean, I'm a fan of trading away Swift and Javonte, but
that's where I'm going for. Like, those are the 2 running backs I want to change. I want to compete with this roster without giving up my value. So I'd add my depth to those running backs to tier.
I know you've been a real big proponent of trading Swift. In this instance, I would rather trade Javonte than Swift because I think the points of receptions are going to be on the Swift side, and I still think that Detroit offense is going to surprise people this year. I really do.
Be better than last year.
I think both of them similarly. Like, I think it's real. I think they're good. I think they're gonna score points, and they're young.
Right.
I think the upside might be a little overstated, and they're valued there already. So I'm happy with doing it for both.
Yeah, like whoever I can get more for, I would trade away. I would probably try and trade Javonte first in this instance for the pure reason I do think Swift's ceiling is higher. If all comes together for him, I think he has the RB1 potential. It's a long shot, but I think it's there. I think Javonte needs a lot of things to happen to get that much of a bump.
You can get Galaxy Brain this and trade like Waddle and a second and get Jefferson and then trade Deontay Johnson or DK in like 2 seconds and go try to get Waddle back. Not really, but
And then go get
Swift
Chase.
is running back 3, Javonte is running back 5, Barkley's
Yeah.
below both of them. So is Breece Hall, so is Derrick Henry. I mean, that's similar upside in my opinion, and you might even get pluses. That's why I keep
and
putting
that's
them
fair.
on that list.
Yep, agreed.
And that's trying to
Someone in
compete
the
without.
comments got my reference, my movie quote, so it makes me happy.
I get Mel Brooks. I forget it. Where are we? Traded Pittman and a third.
That was the same one. He said he currently has an offer in his inbox for Swift and 223 firsts.
I think this goes on the Russ. You don't have to trade for value, so I don't, unless you think you can use us first to get some of those running backs. Which
but who? Like,
I guess
I don't think you're going to do any better. Like, I don't think that you're going to do any better with the first than you are with Swift. I mean, 2 firsts and Swift are about even.
About even, yeah.
Superflex, probably not 1 QB.
Yeah.
Depends what the team is.
Well, I just saw it.
Oh, that was this guy. My bad.
It is 1 QB. Yeah, it's the second part.
Oh,
So
1
one
QB.
you said you don't have to do anything.
Because at that point, you're
taking 2 lottery tickets that are 50% to hit to get a hit. I mean, so like, what are you doing?
No, see, the thing is, like, I'm not super, like, I know I just said Swift has like the RB1 upside. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But
so here's the thing, though: if you trade Swift, you're not competitive.
Correct. You are hurting your team production-wise by doing this.
Yeah.
So if you want to compete, you have to be willing to then flip those picks for a player as opposed to just leveling up. Like,
you'd have to take those first and try and get Aaron Jones plus, and it's trading to trade. I don't hate it, but like I'm sticking with the first impression here. If I don't want value, I want different players, or I want to keep what I got.
If this were an in-season thing, sorry.
Yeah.
If this were an in-season,
by week 3, if you really,
I'd be willing to do it. Thankfully, finally, he's gone.
I was going to wait until he talked again and then talk over him. The problem with Peter leaving, though, is we can't.
I mean, we can't,
down.
like put it on the screen. We could still read what it is. Traded Pittman, a third, Mark Ingram, and Mostert for Jalen Waddle. You stole Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, that's a good
you pretty much
Waddle.
traded Michael Pittman for Jalen Waddle, and I love Pittman, but oh man, that's Waddle. MT may be a ride to the sunset player unless you can get a first.
You can't get a first, so he's definitely riding.
Okay, you should not be able to get a first.
Yeah.
If you got someone willing to do it, then you take it.
The only scenario I can see that you would get a first is, like I said, you have to wait until in season, and if all of a sudden he's Michael Thomas again, where he's getting 10, 11 catches a game and scoring 17, 18, 19 fantasy points a game, then you might be able to get a first for a contender from a contender. Sorry.
Yeah. I have 3:23 seconds. What should I look for? I'm competing. Hey. No? Okay. You're muted or something because we can't hear you talking.
You look good, though.
You do look good, though.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, Michael Thomas is either a declining player because of age or he's a dead asset because of injury, and I think we're just out in most instances.
Yep. I mean, that's where I am.
And the Waddle trade, easily Waddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach, what would you do for 3:23 seconds?
I would trade them. I don't know. I would have to look. I didn't get down that far.
Depends what your team needs.
Again, I think with seconds, I usually use them as sweeteners because I think that if you get a trade with a bunch of seconds, people are going to be like, it's not enough. But if you have players that you can,
but if you add those seconds to a player,
add the seconds to level up. That's what I'm doing.
a bad team and had Aaron Jones on your team and someone offers you 2 seconds, would you take it?
If I have a bad team? No, not right now. I'd probably hang on to it and see if I could get a first 4 minutes. I think you can get 2 seconds for Aaron Jones anytime. I really do.
No, yeah, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, but if I
It's not
think you
often I
offer
think
that
of who's
team,
worth 2
Ramondre-
seconds. So I'm just trying to put a player to the idea. And I
Right.
think Aaron Jones is like one of the best players I could think of for it.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, it's that
I'd
range.
almost
It's
second with
the
a player,
yeah.
and
Like,
then try and get him.
Cortland
Like
Sutton, I would
Ramondre
probably
Stevenson
go
in
by
a
now.
second for Aaron Jones.
Yeah, go see if you can
Yeah.
get Sutton.
2 seconds.
Yeah. But if you can't, what I would do is use those seconds to tier up players.
Yeah.
You conceivably could increase your team in 3 different places. He says he's competing, or she says they're competing, so that's a way to do it. I also think Cortland Sutton is sneaky top 12 wide receiver this year.
I want to believe that.
I do. So Russell Wilson
Just have
is
Russell
going
Wilson.
to Russell Wilson is going to be a quarterback 1, assuming health.
Except for the
Because-
last 6 games of the season.
He has been a quarterback 1 whenever he's been healthy.
Except for the last 6 games of the season.
Yeah. Whatever.
I won't believe that
That's a
until I see.
Seahawks thing.
Yeah. I think it's all
Talking to
psychological. He's really good until the last 2 yards of the field, is what you're thinking.
Dick.
I mean, I would have given it to Marshawn Lynch. I'm just saying. 12-team Superflex start 10 PPR. I got Mahomes, Burrow, Mike Evans, Keenan, Allen, Juju, Devontae, Connor, CEH, Patterson, Cordero, Zach Ertz, decent. He's got 223 first, 323 seconds. How would you grade my team?
With a red pen. No,
Yeah,
that's
I don't really have a.
I mean,
grading
so you got
system.
two top 8 quarterbacks.
Yep.
So right there, you're good.
Ah,
Your wide
this is
receiving group is older, but are you
Good.
going to score points? You
Lots of
probably could
upside.
use an upgrade at running back.
You're a little light for a start 10, but it's a very solid team. Like, it's a competing team. But
It's
I-
light, but you're strong where you need to be strong. Quarterbacks,
Mhm.
so you're pretty safe. Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
B plus plus.
Yeah.
B plus.
And
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
not
take
telling
it.
you
B
what
plus
it's
plus.
out of. I know it's good, man. It's a good team. Just traded Deontay for Godwin and a 23 second. I think that's
Cool.
solid.
Didn't we talk about that at the
but it's
beginning?
fine.
When I got
Yeah,
here?
it sounds like very similar.
Plus, got him to
trade.
throw in Landry.
Beautiful.
Or not.
The fact that you got 2 pluses on top of Godwin is pretty great.
Coaching Superflex 1 PPR league. Start 9. I traded a 23 first, 24 second, 23 third, and Zamir White. Sure. For what? For Waddle? Yeah, that's a win. I don't care.
So
about the
basically, a
four.
23 first for Waddle
First
and
for
a
Waddle.
4th. Yeah.
No,
I don't
he'd be
think
great.
it's that much of an overpay. No, I think you're good. Waddle. Yeah.
Just penguin it all the way to victory. You're fine.
No, the duck song. You know, did your kids
Alex-
find that one, Zach? Or
No.
go look up the duck song. You'll love it.
Okay.
Alex, it really depends on the trade at this point. Has the value risen enough to sell him? I don't know. What are you looking for in trade?
First plus.
Aaron Jones and a first.
If you can
plus,
walk
yeah.
away with a first plus for ETN and you want out on ETN, then you take it regardless.
ETN is on the cusp of being a running back 1 in DLF ADP. Like, he's running back 13. So we're there,
So-
fellas. We're there.
Yeah, it's as high as he's going to go until like he finishes the season as like a wide receiver, as a running back 6.
Right. Sure.
I want a share
Arnold
or
Jones.
2 going into the season because he's good. He has the ability to be a very good fantasy running back. I wish I got when his prices were much lower. I just didn't do anything about it.
Should have listened to the Dynasty Grind.
Should have listened to the Dynasty.
I didn't
Grind.
either. I didn't get him anywhere either because I'm mostly in league with you fuckers. Friends. France.
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 But yeah, how do you pronounce it differently with the S and then the Z? I don't.
France.
Need some help at tight end. Trade for Hunter Henry. There you go. I have the Broncos boys and Gronk. Should I try to make a trade? I mean, you never need tight end, but I mean, Hunter Henry's decent if you just need someone to definitely play week 1.
No, I mean, he has, I'm guessing that means Alberto, right? By saying the Bronco boys?
And the
You're fine starting Alberto for now.
Dolchich.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry for a safe starter. But
go see if you can find Brait. Go see if you can find Tunyon for cheap, but don't like.
Yeah, I never sweat tight end unless you're sweating the very tippy top. Larry Fitzgerald. Well, thanks for the reminder.
You're talking about liking players for their personality.
I'm gonna just not dispel that one, but
yeah, I was trying to go blank on that myself. Tim Shady, pessimistic middle of the road team collecting future draft picks. How many lucky wins do you need to start the year with before trying to decide those future picks for the points players?
You don't, because if you're being lucky and winning, you don't. Ruin it.
I think by week 3, if you do an honest assessment of your team, you should know roughly which direction you should go. And I really want to know by week 3. I want to make a strong decision on week 3. That's way too early, but not early enough. Week 3 is as much as I'll give myself.
So, Tim, I don't know what platform you're playing on, but most platforms have the ability to do this. We play on MFL mostly, but I always look at potential points and all play wins, and all play wins gives you what you would have done against everybody in your league. So that gives you kind of a real good estimation of how well you're doing. And then the potential points are the points that if you weren't such an idiot setting your starting lineup, Zach, you would do better. And that's what
is always so low. By the way, if you're on MFL, reports, standings, power rank, all of that's in one spot.
So that's what I would do. It's not about the wins; it's about the quality of.
Should you have one?
Yeah. So
I think it is a decent idea to have a cutoff point, though, and that's why I just say week 3-ish. But I mean, if you're like, well, maybe you can. Reasonably adjust it up and down, but week 3 you should have a good idea.
Can I shamelessly shill a Dynasty Dummies episode? If you go back and listen to last year, it's an episode where I brought J Mike on not as a host but as a guest. Go listen to that episode because nobody does this better than J Mike, where he evaluates his team and he said, do it early. Figure out what you're going to do and make a decision early because you want to be the first team making that decision, not the last team. But that's the Dynasty Dummies, and I can even get you. I'll effort and get you an episode number, Tim.
Which is why I was saying I love week 3 as an answer because usually people start at week 4. So if you're a week earlier, you'll get the better prices on either side of what you're trying to do. So yes, I agree with Peter.
I might need a moment. I think it's the first time I've ever heard those words. Need to collect myself.
Take your time.
No, I've lost a comment. Just keep vamping with me a minute.
I mean, that was the goal. I was trying to keep it going, and whatever you were getting under control, whatever you're trying to get under control, but you're not getting it under control nearly fast enough for what needs to be happening right now. Like, where are you? What is going on right now? Are you frozen?
Episode 211, Tim.
I like how vamping for me is always just, I get to string insults at your direction while you try and do something. That's time tested. It works.
It worked.
Not really. There we go. Pessimistic middle of the road team collecting future draft picks. How many lucky wins? That's the one we're on, right?
Yep.
Cool. Allen Robinson equals Christian Kirk plus what?
Third.
Almost anything. I think this is a fairly even trade. Upside for floor.
Yeah, I'd take the upside though. I'd rather have Allen Robinson because
I'd rather
that's
have
the
Allen Robinson.
Same position trades suck, because there's a loser and there's a winner, and I'd rather win
Which is
with upside
why,
than
especially
win
with A-Rob being the older guy, if you're sending him away, getting the third back also, like a third would probably do it.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Based on reports, is Kyle Road? No.
Yes. Do you know what the reports are?
No.
He just signed with the Bucks.
Cool. I mean,
Sweet.
Brady can make anyone productive, I guess.
I'm gonna pick him up in the Scott Fish Bowl in two picks here.
Yeah, I wonder if he just got like grabbed by whoever is on the clock. I'm nowhere near picking, so it's not going to happen for me. And I did just take Cameron Brate, by the way, 3 picks ago.
I mean, it is worth a roster spot, but it's over who, I guess.
That's my man or woman, Flowosaurus.
History of the World, Part 1. I think that's a Mel Brooks reference, too.
That is the Mel Brooks.
Alex Smith, what can CEH and 2:23 seconds get me for running back? I'd rather keep CEH and see what happens. Not much is your answer there. CEH is currently right outside the top 24 running backs. We're not really interested in him right now, which is why I think he has upside.
I don't think you're upgrading enough, but like if you believe in Zeke or David Montgomery, I would probably do that. Go a little higher, maybe get lucky enough to get Aaron Jones. Like I said, 2 seconds for Aaron Jones. CEH is the kicker in there.
Do you think you need 2 seconds to go from CEH to Elijah Mitchell?
That would get done.
You should.
That's the one that I'm going to go do.
There's definitely upside in that one. Or if you're like Peter and you believe in Antonio Gibson.
Elijah Mitchell is running back 25 in Dynasty right now, 2 spots ahead. I would try that. That's a trade I'd be interested in.
Also, just start off with 1 second, by the way.
That's what I mean.
Like, start. Yeah.
Yep.
You're going to go try that anywhere I have CEH. No, I didn't say that, league mates. I don't have any seconds. Shit. Hang on. I think about that. Back-to-back champ. Best projected team by a long shot. Likely 3 of the top 4 picks next year. If not the top 3, I'm bored.
Yeah, put your feet up. You need to go get gelato.
You need to go have a hobby to take time off away from your hobby sometimes. You can do too much. You can destroy a good team.
Maybe a nice brunch. That's what I did before the Scott Fish Bowl draft. A nice brunch. That's the way to go.
Thoughts on this team? 12-team PPR, 1 quarterback, tight end premium. Stafford, Lance, Swift, Barkley, CEH, Harris, Hendo, JJ Higgins, GK.
Fodder's most of my running backs.
Yep. Juju, A-Rob, Claypool,
Super
Palmer.
solid. Really, really.
Yeah.
It's really solid. Feels like this is one of those teams you get in season and it just doesn't quite work there. Like I have worried about Swift's upside. Barkley, I think, is a top 5 running back. We've got injury concerns there. I think CH is upside. Henderson's a flex. DK is just a value player at this point. I would not expect to be playing him as my wide receiver 3 most weeks. Terry, same thing. Juju has upside. You know what I mean? There's 2 solid starters outside the quarterbacks on this roster, and I think it's fine. It's a good team, especially in a 1 quarterback. No, actually, with Stafford and Lance and a super flex, you're solid. I think you're a playoff team. I'm worried.
I think it's a really good team still.
It's a good team, solid, really good. But I'm worried
think
about some
having DK and Terry as your wide receiver 3 and 4 is beautiful.
And A-Rob there too in the mix. Like you don't know. Like A-Rob could end up being like a steal in LA.
It could be.
I don't understand why you're concerned about Swift's upside.
The upside is absolutely there for Swift. I think.
I mean, you're basically just hoping he doesn't get hurt, but we don't like.
I would feel great having CEH as my 3rd running back and having whoever's healthy between Swift and Barkley in the running back 1, or having both of them play. I think is great.
Right.
I will absolutely start the wrong 3rd and 4th wide receiver every single week, which I hate.
Running backs.
Because I made the joke before. My efficiency is always terrible setting lineups.
Running backs outpace top 12 wide receivers is what I'm talking about with Swift. not having upside. I don't think he's one of those guys. I think he's a top 12 running back in the same way, a lot of good running backs are top 12, but they don't outpace top 12 wide receivers as flex options. It's league-winning upside. I mean, everything that doesn't make him bad. Again, I've said consistently, it's a good player. You can play him. I think right now his value, especially the way he's ranked in Dynasty, suggests that he has upside, that league-winning upside that I just don't think he has.
Well, but if he's healthy, he's catching 75, 80 balls.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, man.
I do not like Joe Herbert, by the way. If you catch up to the comments, because I was talking about the Duck song and he brings up Disco Duck, that's going to be stuck in my head for the night. Everybody's doing the disco duck.
I'm glad I don't know that one, so it can't get stuck in my head.
That is surprising. You do not like foul-related music, I guess.
Sorry. Everybody knows that bird's the word.
You guys are the worst. Oh my god.
Peter, where'd you go? You got to control the.
All right. That's right.
Oh, he's trying to spreadsheet again, and it doesn't work.
At 24 first. No, it was working.
Second, 25. It's not bad. It's so spread out, it makes me not like it as much, but
I think I'd rather have Chase.
Yeah. But I don't think it's bad. It's just not great for Chase. Like, you should be able to write your ticket, and that's not my ticket.
Well, and here's everyone hates the trade but me, but be happy about it. Like, what? So this is one of the things that I don't know. But this is one of the things that I have. I think he got Chase or she, Rojo Fish. Because isn't it trade Mooney a 23 first, a 24 first, second?
He said he got Chase. No, I would 1,000% give this up to go get Chase.
Yeah.
I also don't hate the value coming back. It's not for me.
I think it's fine. This trade I'd be pretty interested in putting together to get Chase, because you are just kind of adding up the value. If Darnell Mooney was like a T. Higgins, it gets a lot closer for me.
You can do like 5 for 1.
Not the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Everyone hates the trade but me.
We like it.
I think if you're getting Chase, it's pretty good. I have Juju, MVS, McCall. Okay. Suddenly on the same NFL team. What the hell? Thank you.
The obvious answer is go get Sky Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the only right answer here. Just lean into it.
I think if you can get anything for the wide receivers outside of Juju, because I think he's the one with the upside there. And there doesn't need to be one, to be fair. Kelsey and spreading the offense between 4 or 5 other receiving options is more than possible.
Yep.
Then I think that move them on. I tried Superflex Best Ball for the first time. Looks like I'm the 4th best team.
I'm really
12.
bad at best ball.
I wonder how people do they rank teams when you do best balls these days? I never trust those ranking agents. Like CBS has one and stuff. They never seem.
I love the draft grade emails you get like after Yahoo like redraft drafts.
Yeah,
it always just makes me laugh because the worse my draft grade, the better I do that season.
That's like the projected points on ESPN. If you're projected to be the winner, you lose almost every time. Ever notice that? Just me. Cool. Gavin.
So much money in underdog.
12 teams.
How to use it.
12 team Superflex start 10. A DAC? Just the one.
Side A.
Oh, it's an A and B. Dak, Higgins, Hunt, Ramondre for Tua, Javonte, Mike Williams. Yeah, and a first.
Dak. Still a Dak.
I think
Wait, maybe? Yeah.
This one's close.
Yeah,
it's
this
close.
is hard. I was ready to say Dak because I love Higgins and I prefer wide receiver over running back. Dak over Tua. But Hunt and Ramondre are whatever, and I love me some Mike Williams in a 23 first, but I think overall I still take the Dak side.
That's really close, Gavin.
Are we still? I know Brevin Jordan's kind of aged out of it. I didn't see him get targets.
He was doing well towards the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, did you just give up on a rookie tight end? Is that what happened?
No, he's just always undersized and an interesting deep prospect. Didn't see anything too special first year. You'd have to see some. He's not. Yeah, he could easily do something, but this seems like where the target's going to go issue. Is nothing he did in particular, unless you want to split it into per game, and I don't like doing that kind of thing. Second half of the season type takes aren't my stuff.
I love my school position narratives, so give me the Miami tight ends.
Fair. Clemson wide receivers and Miami tight ends. Why not?
Yep.
12 teams to flex 1 PPR. Start 9 acquired AJ Brown. Is this a repeat as well? 23 third. Nope. For Lazard, Thielen, and Judy.
Beautiful.
Was that an overpay? No, I think that's walk-off win.
The fact that you got them to add something to AJ Brown was pretty great.
Yeah, that's AJ Brown's value really is all over the place, as someone else said in the chat earlier. Apparently, and yeah, I love that value. Give Cooper, Evans, Lazard. He's responding for this one. Yeah, get AJ Brown again. Right?
No,
that's entirely different list of players.
Warden Tucker tried a couple times. Give Cooper, Evans, Lazard, get Lamb.
They might have hit enter too quickly.
Yep.
Yeah. Cooper, Evans, Lazard, get Lamb. 12 teams, start 10, Superflex, other receivers. Your team doesn't matter to a trade, just to be clear, but it does give context to the trade, so I appreciate it.
It's a lot.
Man,
Evans is a top 12 wide receiver this year. Cooper's top 24. Lazard's got upside. Yeah, it's rough.
If it was,
I think I just want Lamb though.
Yeah, I like that you're getting younger and you're condensing value, but I don't know if I could do that.
And assuming that's
bad
Cooper,
because of the way Cooper and Evans are really valued, as opposed to how I would value them.
And we're assuming that's Amari Cooper, to be real clear.
Is there someone else it would be?
Cup?
Well, he's using
it wouldn't be Cooper.
I know, but I mean, weirder things have happened.
Cecil Cooper?
Yeah, just
former outfielder for the Braves and Brewers? No.
Okay. Yeah, if that's Amari Cooper, just be safe. I think I'll just take Lamb.
He said yes, it's Amari.
It's an awful lot to pay for Lamb, but yeah.
Rough. It's a rough year to get young potential kind of breakout players, especially for these older guys. It's a bad dynasty year. Man.
Well, and I think it's kind of what you've been talking about is
wide receiver
a lot of the wide receivers who are going to score this year are the older guys.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What you're falling into is because they don't have value to your team, you're not putting value to them on the other player's team. Just because Cooper and Evans don't mean much to your team doesn't mean you should value them less in a trade.
Maybe.
And that's kind of what's happening. But if you're happy,
take Amari off, see if they go for that. I think that's a lot better trade. Lazard and Evans for Lamb, that's almost not enough, though.
I mean, I would take out Evans and put in Judy. See if that works.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That might get it.
Because I want Evans points this season.
Yeah, Evans points could be real juicy this season. That's fair.
I don't want to ruin the Duck song for Zach. I want him to go. You have to watch the video, by the way.
Okay. I've got it. I'm writing it down. The Duck song.
Maybe don't play it in front of your kids because they'll sing it and want to watch it over and over again.
No. Harrison is way more mature than that. He's into like House of Pain now. At this point, he's just jump around,
jump up. Hey, they're famous. He's famous now.
Yeah, he's on the news. It's pretty excellent. I thought he comported himself much better than his dad does on podcasts. So that's
he's
nice.
He's ready for the spotlight.
Yeah.
Jerry Judy or a 20-second.
Absolutely, Judy.
Depends who's at 1 at 4, but yeah, I think generically, assuming it's Hall, Burks, London, Wilson, It's Wilson. That's difficult.
I'll keep if Burks, London, or no, that's it. If one of those two found a way to fall to 104,
That's fair.
I would probably take them over Judy, but I still won't be happy about it. I just know that's where the value is, though I do love Burks. Otherwise, I'd take Judy over Wilson, over JMO, over Kenneth Walker. Like, I'd rather
think this
take
is
the
pretty
risk
even.
on Judy with Russell Wilson because I like the player already.
That's fair. I think it's pretty even. So you lean, do you want to buy into the Denver situation, which I kind of do. So I'd take that. Yeah.
Zach said he wanted to leave 4 minutes ago.
It's true.
Oh, sorry, Zach. You got to go.
Well,
Yeah, I
Russ
do.
also has to go. So,
Gentlemen.
All right. Sorry, bud. Thanks.
No, you're all good. I appreciate you. We'll catch you next week. Chat in 45 minutes. You guys will all say goodbye, but I'll say goodbye now. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Try and get it done quicker than that, but all right. Oh, great. Nice. I like the warnings, All right, guys. I'll try and finish it up here. Is this year's Cordero Patterson going to be Damian Williams or Cordero Patterson? We all know it's not Tyler Trap Algier. I'm not sure about Tyler Algier. I think he's fine. He's fine for where he goes in a rookie draft. I'm not really drafting him in a startup too much, unless because there's normally a more interesting running back in that range for me. I don't think there is a this year's Cordero Patterson. Obviously, that's normally a bad comparison. And, the wide receiver convert breaking out very late into his career into the top, it's a really rare thing to try and track. So I don't think there is one. If you're looking for who is a really deep, basically unvalued guy who could be a top 12 running back this year, oh, God, good question, I guess. Running backs do break out from outside the top 36 more than any other position, especially more than wide receivers. I think I'm more inclined to believe that it's a rookie than some aging veteran because repeats or even later breakouts have kind of been popping off at the running back position over the last few, especially last year, more than they typically do. So I don't think we're going to get as much of that this year. Undervalued running backs, therefore, it's probably going to be, it's going to be a Rashad White or it's going to be a Isaiah Spiller because of an injury in front of him, unfortunately. Damian Pierce, maybe at the outside just because of volume, but that's more Najee Harris, like you'd say, and I don't think he's nearly as good as Najee Harris as a prospect. Keontae Ingram, that's where I'd look for these really, really undervalued potential running back breakouts this year. Jar Webb, I'll get that gelato, but not the kind you're talking about. I'm not entirely sure what gelato is, and they're all gone, so I can't ask. Joe, Disco Duck. These are references I can't live up to. I can't even find Kyle Rudolph on Yahoo. That's deep. I hadn't heard that report. To be flat out honest, I'm normally not interested in Kyle Rudolph, but as an ad off the waiver wire, again, it's who you're dropping for him. You probably find space, especially if there's any incentive to do well at tight end. I'm sure they'll get to it as soon as they can. Rojo Fish. If you're getting Chase, you're usually on the right side of the trade. From the trades we've seen this offseason, from this session, this Dynasty Grind. Robert, just finishing up a Madden draft. Never done it, so just going to pretend it's the usual Dynasty draft. Superflex 12 teams start 10. Oh, Maiden. Sorry, Dynasty draft. Your first one. Great. And with productive struggle. That's pretty good. It's hard to bottom out if you execute it well. That's why it's a good startup strategy to begin with. Finish with 6th first next year. Is there a point where you say, okay, I have a new futures? Not really. You can think in terms of more value instead of futures. And value is what you need to change your roster in Dynasty. After the startup draft, it's all there is to change your roster, unless you get lucky off the waiver wire. And in a Dynasty league, that tends to be harder, where depth, especially depth ads, tend to be harder to find on the waiver wire because we're rostering a lot of them compared to redraft leagues. Even if you play a kicker or you play defense, are normally rostered in a dynasty league, so it tends to be a bit harder. So you can never really have enough value, especially if you're focusing predicted struggle. So no. 12-man best ball. Alan Diggs stack with Chase and Olave and Winston stack on the other side of starting lineup. What's the question? I like it. Makes me feel better. Thanks, fellas. No problem. I would say the only thing I can say about this off the top of my head is I think stacking, especially if you're starting a weekly roster, like you have to click submit, is strongly overrated. It's having too much influence on most decisions. Never force a stack, although it's a nice thing if it turns up, perhaps, especially in best ball, where you don't have to make the right decisions week to week. Warden Tucker, FPPR? Full PPR. Okay, Superflex, 2 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex. Rookie 103, 108, 209, I'm assuming. Kyler, Watson, Dobbins, ETN, AJ Brown, Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Evans, Goddard, Cooper, Godwin, Watson. Judy and Jacobs too. Trade picks to trade up. No, I think this is like the other rosters we've seen tonight. You're young enough with enough good players that are going to score enough points. I think this is the kind of team you could ruin trying to make too many moves rather than improve, trying to get smart about it. So I think you sit and wait. I don't see anyone there. I'm panic selling. Evans is old, but his points this year are pretty juicy. Goddard as well is a little underrated in terms of his overall upside, even at the tight end position. So I think you're solid. Godwin's coming in a little bit of a discount, as we've seen with a few of the trades, and Outhouse and Zach liking the Godwin side almost 100% of the time. So I don't think there's anyone they really have to move. Dobbins, especially with the recent news, same thing. He's a good running back. He's going to be a good starter. Might not have that upside, but he's also not trading at that upside right now. ETN might be someone you might want to test the market, as it were, but you don't have to sell him at his escalated value right now if you can't find stupid value for him. So I think this is another hold. And take it slow, sit back, enjoy your team. Oh, right, no problem. 18-1 quarterback, won last year, though a fair bit of running back luck, as we kind of always need, to be fair. Should I move Gage, and when, and at what running back value? Russell Gage? That's the only Gage I can think of. Russell Gage is a really interesting sleeper I haven't spent a lot of time talking about because his value's better. His ADP is more reasonable. But I feel similarly as I do about Gabriel Davis, to be honest. The upside, there is some there. There is a chance, but we've probably seen he's probably a better NFL contributor than he's going to be a fantasy contributor. But the question, as always, is at what value? If you can get one of those undervalued running back twos with upside, a CEH and Elijah Mitchell, by adding something as simple as a second-round pick, I would look into something like that. I'm less interested in Sanders, more interested in CEH. Again, we go through my usual list of targets. Yeah, I figured. I just wanted to mention it because I read it and I can get them wrong. Fair point. I made that mistake a few times. With the amount of starters matter in that Warden trade. Warden trade? The amount of starters does matter, especially in terms of how many positional limits you have. Like Russ and Zach both mentioned, if you're starting 2 running backs, it's a little different than starting 1 because you have different requirements. In the same way that tight end premium kind of doesn't do what it's trying to do because it's still not forced to start to. In the Scott Fishbowl, it might be adjusted for enough that you're flexing a tight end, which actually does up the value of tight end. But positional starting limits are actually, I think, more influential on decisions than overall starters are weak. Overall, like start 9, start 10, partly because of the depth of the flex ranks at wide receiver. If nothing else, you can always make up for it there. Hey, Joe, glad you're back. I've been left alone. Sorry, Warden has a few trades out in the chat. The Lamb one. Oh, right. Yeah. No, I don't think it changes it overly. I don't think I'd change it for either Zach or Russ. Bye, Zach and Russ. I'm catching up. You see, they didn't think I could, but I am. Peter carrying the squad on his back. I think it's about time I did some carrying where I'm normally carried every week by Zach and Russ. I don't mind closing it out. I may as well do some of the work around here, Appreciate you all sticking with me, though. P the real MVP, LVP, but I appreciate it, man. I try and do the legwork because I'm not very good. So I'm willing to just work longer. Not harder, not better, just longer. That's it. Rojo, no, I've never really been in on Rojo. I think he impressed me a little bit a couple of seasons into his career because he is a pretty decent runner of the ball. But as Zach likes to mention, that has limited upside. What I was trying to get out about Swift, by the way, but couldn't. It's not just about targets. Running backs with that level of upside have a balanced share of both rushing. Alvin Kamara is rare, and even he had a larger share of the rushing game than DeAndre Swift has so far demonstrated, and you can see that through the overall opportunity share. That's where I'm down on Swift. It's not like he doesn't have a top 12 share of the offense through the passing. He just doesn't have it in the rushing game also. And not that he's a bad runner, and I tend to accept players' overall volume quicker, or I try to be quicker than most to accept what it is instead of seeing that they're going to progress into higher volume shares. And Rojo, same thing, but in reverse, because he's never had that receiving share. I'm more likely to believe Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and his share has more upside. If he gets a few more touchdowns, he's not due regression or anything like that, but it can happen. More likely to believe that in one season or another you can bump up a little bit in targets than completely take on a different role. And so I lean towards CH in that backfield. Peter is Atlas tonight. I don't have the figure for that or the shoulders. Let's get real. Big Peter, appreciate it. I went back and you said you were bored. No, I didn't. Oh, he said he was bored. Yeah, I would never say such a thing. Is this the year Dearness Johnson passes Kareem Hunt in the Cleveland running back pecking order? I mean, injuries can make... No, I don't think so. Time for a startup. Yeah, best ball is how I get my fix. Actually, Kuda Doodle on Twitter, I think it was this afternoon, said that best ball is basically microdosing for fantasy football players. And it's not wrong. Like, whenever I'm feeling a little too bored or I'm playing around my teams a little too much, I start another best ball draft on Underdog. Unsponsored, by the way. Joannis, why don't you join FFPC? Don't have the pockets for that one, Joe, but thank you. It's short rosters, but the people that play there are pretty sharp. I think you're talking to Jahan there. And yeah, I've never played there, but everyone I meet there that plays there seems pretty sharp. The ADP is pretty dependable. And I know industry-wise, everyone I talk to really likes playing over there. And I do know the advert. Leagues don't fold. Players get replaced. Leagues don't fold. Nicholas J. Here Kyle Rudolph is going to the Bucks. Yeah, I hadn't heard that until this stream, so I appreciate the news update, everyone. I joined the league with the Wake Up Boys, but that's about all I want to do. You play what you play. I do think idle hands and all of that. Sometimes I have to take a break from my leagues when I'm a little bored because you can do more damage to it just by making moves. I've done that a lot. Trade away CMC, on the team I posted earlier. Could have been better or worse off without him. I'm prone to believe healthy CEH has got that upside. He's got that share of both the rushing game and the receiving game. He's had more upside in the running back position than pretty much anyone since, the heyday of running backs. But the strong injury concerns, I'm told by John Hogue. I love that upside, though. I drafted him in the Scott Fishbowl. I know a day. How do you value KJ Osborne? I've been asked about him a few times. It's an interesting depth question. Again, I look for players that it's not like things happen every year that don't have signal that I don't think I could have predicted, not that no one else could have predicted, but those are, in my opinion, it's a small amount of breakouts or undervalued dynasty players or players that break ADP expectation. Mostly, I think the KJ Osbornes, the KJ Hamlers have had enough opportunity in the league that we would have seen a little more for it to happen. And the outliers to it are usually much lower drafted. They're Julian Edelman, who played QB in college, or Wes Welker, that played running back in college and both played for New England. Devontae Parker was a little bit of a strange one. But again, the upside really wasn't there. Robert Woods was a little weird, but he had to switch teams. And then, it was great upside there for a year. And then it was mostly value loss after that. Like later breakouts, lower drafted players in fantasy drafts with some level of draft capital tend to be my kryptonite. I give up maybe. But KJ Osborne with the roster spot, there's an argument depth chart wise. That wake up auction sounded fun. It does. Thanks, Tim. Really appreciate it, man. To be fair, my first high stakes dynasty league left my ass off. Yeah, them guys ate me up. If you can't have fun getting your ass kicked in fantasy, just quit. Really, if you're here for the money, well, some people play. There are some significantly small percentage of people that play fantasy for money. They make a living off it. I'm not interested in being that. I'm definitely not that. So it's easier to have fun winning or losing, just playing the game. But, that's my excuse. What's yours? But Joe, I assume you do a lot better than me year over year money-wise. The one I did was a Superflux Best Ball. I'm realizing I'm just reading your guys' conversation at this point, so I'm going to move out a little bit. I'm not modest, I'm honest. And when you'll figure that out, you'll be like, oh, he does suck. It's fine. You're awesome, Peter. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. I'm as awesome as you allow me to be, man. No, seriously, I really do appreciate you all. You make my week. You, Zach, and Russ, anyway. So I really appreciate it. Kung Fu movies are a good motivation. Me versus the world type motivation. I actually understand that energy. And some certain type of movies or certain movies can really get you revved up, excited to go out there and kick ass, Then I go sit down on the couch and watch a different show. But you know what I mean. I get the energy. It sounds like kick butt. Thank you to Open 24 Hours. Appreciate it. They really do a good job, don't they? Appreciate that, Joe. Nicholas, sorry. Sorry, I got Joe's on the brain. Any hope for Njoku? Again, you know where I go with this. It's not like it can't happen. They just paid him a load of money. He's one of the most athletic players to ever enter the NFL. Outside of everyone's worth a debt spot at some point, if you like something about them, because you got to have your own favorites on your bench. He's well past the typical career arc. It's a better, like Brevin Jordan conflicts with me because he's still in his breakout window. I don't expect to see much at tight end. He was a low-tafted rookie prospect, so at this point I need to see some noise before I believe it. There's just so few tight ends that break out. It's hard to have strong opinions on what you do need to see. But second year is the year, even for tight ends. What's overdosing on fantasy football? It's where you're sitting here at midnight after your friends leave, still talking to people about fantasy football. I think that's actually the sign, to be honest. I think you're good. Yeah, fun question, but I don't think so. I think we know who the starter is there. Thanks for keeping this guy entertained on a balmy Wednesday night. Good night, Peter. Adios, chat. See you later, FF Lefty. I really appreciate it. That's what we're here for. So we're not alone while we're degenerates about this tiny little game we all enjoy so much. Scott Barrett had an interesting thread. I think it was Scott talking about basically the accuracy or how much value there is in ADP per position, right? Someone shared that with me, and I shared it as well. It was interesting, yeah. Unless there's another one you're talking about. He has a lot of interesting threads, Joe. Gotta be specific. What players am I completely out on in Dynasty? I mean, let me try and answer that question without being all Dynasty about it. It's all about ADP and the value there is. I'll tell you what, there's a video I've got coming out tomorrow, and there are 3 players, and they're not all milquetoast takes either. One of them is. Like, I don't like it. I hate these breakout arguments is the video, and I've got 3 of them. But it's not because these players are terrible. It's because I don't like the argument, or I like the player, but the argument is pushing their value to somewhere I can't get it. So MVS, I really thought MVS showed more potential in that offense for 1 year there than Alan Lazard, and then it didn't happen, so I'm out. He would basically have to double his highest target share to get close to breaking out this year, and that's just not a change in target share we see at this point into their career. After year 2, you really don't see those kind of shifts. The other one was Rashad Bateman. It seems everyone's going to continually value Rashad Bateman higher than I can come in, trying to mitigate my risk a little bit. He would have to get up to a 28% target share on the expected offense this year. If it's the same offense as last year, he wouldn't. But again, even in year 2, we don't usually see that'd be a 15% target share swing. That's more than Marcus Brown went up to break out he didn't break out in the second year. He went up 6% target share in his second year after starting out at 18%. And then only broke out into the top 36 because the offense was so small that year. The offense shrinks this year. It probably won't be as bad as Marcus Brown was dealing with, but he's still probably going to have to get up there to the 25, 26. And where Bateman had like a 13% target share, he needs a 10 to 15% target share bump on an offense that's clearly, in my opinion, signaling it doesn't intend to pass as much. They traded away the wide receiver 1 because they're happy with their tight end and the wide receiver 2, who is now the wide receiver 1. I get it. But also, they stocked up that O-line. They added depth running backs. Probably actually healthy to start the season. And Lamar Jackson ran for significantly less number of times a game last year. It wasn't just the added wide receiver and the tight end. Lamar Jackson ran less. So that, to me, says the offense can shift to the rushing game without, J.K. Dobbins being, a 50, 60% rushing attempt guy. And still, so, yeah, I hate those 3. And the other one was Gabe Davis, obviously. I'm kind of out of them at their value right now. And Bateman's the hardest there for me because I really do believe in the player, but he's currently getting drafted over every likely breakout that isn't T. Higgins and CeeDee Lamb. So Smith, Elijah Moore. Who are the other likely breakouts? Mooney's one, Ayuk's a deep one. I don't know. I got it listed somewhere. You know the type. Also, every rookie wide receiver, which in Dynasty is fine, but the value's a little more secure, those rookies. If he only gets into the top 36 after a bigger target share jump than Marcus Brown went through in his second year and got to the top 36 after starting out at a higher target share, then I think that value is going to plummet. I think people are finally going to be, this guy's bad, when really it's just an unreasonable expectation. And it's the same with Gabe Davis. I don't like the play. It's been efficient so far, and there is some there. But I think the expectation is set so far above what's reasonable that even if he's good, people are going to be disappointed. So I think those are the first 3 that come to mind. I'd love to be paid load of money. I'd like to be paid money in general. That's fine. Still here, going to throw a grenade at Joe. Okay, Brevin Jordan is not athletic, is slow, and will not break out. Brevin Jordan's a little small, fairly productive in the receiving game relative to the tight end position. Just a little undersized. He looked to me, and I liked it. I had him like tight end 3 or 4 last year, I think. Tight end's kind of a slim position, to be fair. 3 and 4 isn't saying much. But he was undersized. He reminded me of Gerald Everett, who's once again getting hyped up because, maybe a role change. But I mean, year 2 would be the year you would expect to see something. Russ had a point there. Tarate's one of those underrated quarterbacks who can always take up volume. I guess Gardner Minshew is going to live in that role these days as well. Time for a midnight joint. Good for you, man. As long as it's legal in your area. I'm more interested in McCall Hardman because I think he's going to keep being what he's being, but what he is being is what I think is reasonable to expect MVS to do. But there's more of a breakout argument and hype around MVS. I think McCall Hardman is going to be a solid streamer and continue to be a solid streamer. He's impressed me. He has done more than I thought he would feels like I was right to throw so much shade at him year after year after year because he didn't break out into the top 24, let alone the top 12. But that is definitely above average on Kansas City, at least, fantasy player, the wide receiver position with, flexibility. And it's coming at a discount as people finally accept he's not going to grow into or develop into a large role. I mean, it wouldn't be a similar argument for MVS or Gabe Davis, but McCall Hardman's been better and had more target share. You can see how Gabe Davis doesn't stack up. Like, I'd be less upset if it was a McCall Hardman debate again, but he's further outside the breakout arc. Is Pitts still worth the 110 in a 12-team startup league? You mean the 110 overall in the startup? No tight end premium. Would you target there? Who would I target there? Pitts goes in that range, and maybe even a little earlier. And I think that's fair because the upside is really he's literally just a few touchdowns away, and he'd already be, untouchable. The problem with in trade, he's almost untouchable, so you have to draft him there and hope you get another wide receiver on that turn. I'm looking for my rank sheet. I would consider taking him there, but it depends who's gone. If, let's see, Jefferson and Chase are gone, obviously, then he starts to become interesting. Just give me a second here. Let's see. These are Superflex ranks, so it's a little different. Yeah, if it's Superflex, you have to let the first 5 quarterbacks go, so that's already pick 5. Let the 2 top wide receivers for sure, so that's 7. I would draft all of those over Kyle Pitts. Value be damned, no matter what John Bosch tells me, I do what I do. And then you've got a choice between adding the top tier running backs, which I wouldn't do, Najee Harris and Jonathan Taylor, or taking Kyle Pitts. And so I really think that 7 to 10 range, yeah, I actually would consider taking him a lot in a dynasty. I'm just about to add him to my database because somehow he got left off. I think similar to Reverend Jordan in terms of interest level, he's like tight end 3 or 4 post draft. Don't know how he got left off my college database update, but he did. Again, productive is actually of a similar size. Ravens have got a habit most years of drafting 2 tight ends. Both of these ones this year are a little underrated, to be honest. But normally at least one of those players eventually shows at least a top 12 upside. And Collar's got a decent receiving profile. I haven't dug into him once again because I have to add him again. But I think he's interesting. And he's a really late add, even in Dynasty right now. So I think that's fine. Oh, no, I'm not. Like, he's not going to break out finally this year. Like 600-700 yards. A couple games he'll grab a touchdown and be like a whatever it is, a DFS starter that week. Solid player and a great offense. They do that kind of thing, and McCall Hardman's been that for the last 2 years. I would keep that. But I think we're trading for and drafting players with likely that upside, and MVS is that's his median, very likely doesn't have a ceiling, but we get it. We get him with a lot less hype, a lot less pomp, lots of people sniping you. Especially if you've got a heavy running back and you just need those depth. He could be one of those top 40, 50. He is one of those top 40, 50 wide receivers. Make the wide receiver position look so deep, man. And it's actually people like McCall Hardman. If you had a Superflex rookie draft today, who would you take 102 to 4? Good question. I can tell you my ranks. I got Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and that's all of them, right? First 4 picks. I just lean on those quarterbacks really heavy early. Then I go Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Then I have Jonathan Taylor, and I think I'm going to move him below Justin Herbert, to be honest with you, because while I usually only prioritize like players that I actually think are top 3 at the quarterback position this year, I really do mean what I said earlier. I think we're looking at the tight ends and the wide receivers that are going to be this era's wide receiver, and the quarterbacks are going to go forever, outside of an injury, like an Andrew Luck situation. And so it's a really good time in Dynasty startups, especially in Superflex, to prioritize them. And so I have more quarterbacks in the early part of a first round ranks, my Superflex ranks, than I typically have. Usually I have a pretty strong tier between the top 3-5, and then I go wide receivers, running backs, to the point I get told off. And why don't you have Dak Prescott high enough? Because I don't think he's that level of quarterback, not NFL wise, but fantasy wise. Top 12, top 5 continuously without that significant, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson upside. But this year, give me Dak Prescott over a lot of wide receivers that I normally wouldn't, because I think he's going to continue to be, that top 12 underrated quarterback. And if you don't have him, get him in your dynasty draft this year. I think you're going to be hearing about him for at least the next 10 years, all of these guys. And trading for him in the end if you don't. Who'd you try? Where did that go? Who'd you try to trade for Michael Thomas, Allen Robinson, or Hopkins? Which one would I rather trade for? All of a similar value. Allen Robinson's probably the highest right now, which matters. I think Allen Robinson. I think Zach's right on this. He won with similar upside to most of them, especially in a better situation. I think Hopkins is probably going to be easier to trade for, though. At the same value, Robinson with a slight discount because he's been injured recently. Hopkins, Michael Thomas is on the end of the list. I kept telling you, man. I swear I went over and over it. Darius Slayton, and they're both cut candidates for me. Yeah, I'd hold on to McCall if I could. At this point, he's done more than I thought he would do, but a lot less than most people that were hyping, right? But again, if you're expecting 600-700 yards and anything over that's a bonus, and you'll get to start him on bye weeks and stuff, I think he's a real solid dynasty asset that way. Just don't expect a breakout, And if you get it because of one of those 30% of breakouts that don't really predict, it's awesome. He's easily got as good an argument to make as Gabriel Davis, who's drafted a lot higher. MVS, he's probably in the same range, to be fair. Even Bateman. And you're not paying the vacated targets exist tax, because there shouldn't be a tax for that kind of thing. Peter, I misses what you said about Keyshawn Vaughn, but do you like some players as people? Yeah, we went over that for a while, actually. I guess you checked out right after that. I mentioned Kenny Stills. He does a lot of charity work. Zach and Russ have their own favorites as well. Mostly we're related to players doing off-field things that the NFL doesn't do enough work to highlight. I like Kenny Stills and David Johnson. Just the little social media on players that I see, that big off-season after his big breakout year, and unlike what I see on most of Twitter, let alone player Twitter, he was getting married, he was having his first Father's Day, and he was dad, and he was really proud of the Father's Day gift he got, and they went to a vacation in London for their honeymoon, and it was some of the most wholesome, nice stuff to see, considering what he was at that point. He was our best top 12 running back. The Cardinals were in love with him. He just got the bag. And he just seemed like a genuine person. I really enjoyed that. But that's just a memory for me. Zach and Russ, again, you have to go back and listen, but they mentioned their own that they had particular likes and dislikes for. Alex Smith, Robinson. Fair. Can Brian Robinson turn into a starting back? Turn into one? No. I think he can hold down decent volume in Washington should the need arise. Yeah, I think Rachaad White and Isaiah Spiller make more cases in terms of their production as being able to be a very interesting fantasy asset for an NFL backfield. Robinson looked like a real solid player in college. It's a little underrated because he was playing behind better players for a couple of years. But I think he's a really good prospect. I think he's an NFL level running back. Definitely, he could be one of those Darrell Williamses, and the opportunity today, solid for you. Solid for them, and that leads to fantasy points quite often. Thank you, but I was talking about just this rookie class. Ooh, I'm gonna have to remember the question. Oh, just this rookie class. Yeah, I got my rookie ranks posted in my college database. It's my pinned tweet. And see if I can remember. It's Brees Hall, big gap, Burks, London, Wilson, Olave. That's my top 5. And then I think it goes, I think that's where Kenneth Walker might come in finally again. And then I go wide receiver for a while again. And if it's a super flex, throw in Pickens at the 110. And then I get interested in Jahan Dox and Sky Moore and David Bell. And David Bell actually ranks, that's the one. He ranks at like 106, 107 for me. I know I don't have to take him there, but that's where my interest level in him is. And so I put him there. Just remember, ADP can give you gifts if you allow it to. And I've got Trey McBride is probably the other upset. It goes Rashad White, Trey McBride, early second round. But again, I got a draft board, my pinned tweet. That's my memory of my rookie ranks. I think I did this one, right? Allen Robinson, Hopkins, Thomas in that order. I would want Allen Robinson, Hopkins if I couldn't get him at it, but I'd take Hopkins at a discount. MT at this point, I don't want to add him to my roster, but I want to hold him at this point if I've got him. I think that's where I'm at. I have hope for McCall. Don't have hope, just like what he is, and you won't be disappointed because that's probably what he is, and he's a decent NFL player, a good offense, 600 to 700 receiving yards, gonna have some flex-worthy games. And then anything you get above that is gravy. Because again, players will and always do surprise. But there's no real reason to suspect that Gabe Davis or Hardman in particular are going that I can find, that I know of, that are going to be those guys. But, as Adam Harnstead is constantly schooling me with, ADP is smarter than me and it thinks it's Gabe Davis over Hardman and stuff. But I think they're all of a similar mind and similar production tier. And you get a discount on Hardman, so why not? If you've got a heavy running back, he's one of those guys deep that I'd add. So same with Sammy Watkins and Romeo Doubs, though, to be fair. I think I answered that one, Joe, but thank you. I think I've gone back a little bit. Oh, yeah, because I went back to answer my ranks for the rookie class. Right. Where do you have Burrow in your Dynasty ranks? Good question. A little low on Burrow compared to some, I think. I've got him as a quarterback 7. Yeah, quarterback 7, but I do take him in the first round. Again, because if I'm drafting a startup right now in a super flex, I'm going to prioritize these young quarterbacks that are proven good. I think they're going to be the guys for the next 10 years. How long did we get of even Eli Manning? He was constantly the guy that was a solid quarterback for you. And Joe Burrow should be above that. He might be the Peyton Manning level, like Herbert of this era. And I just want as much of that as I can get, just so I can stop thinking about the tight end quarterback position. We're not going to get too many more breakout tight ends over the next few years, quarterbacks over the next few years. I think we're seeing the guys who are going to be the guys. No problem, Scam. And remember, it's just opinion. Zach and Russ have better opinions. They win more than I do, I'm sure. Smarter guys, better guys, less annoying guys. But you're always welcome to a thought. I seem to be lower, apparently, than on Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's worth the 23 first. I think I understand what those big brains were telling me about 23 picks. I get it. But as a player that's just used to thinking of himself as a weaker trader, because I am, I don't think I can do as much with that pick as maybe they can. And I feel Amon-Ra St. Brown is in... That's what it is. Amon-Ra St. Brown is above that line where I'm interested in what I can do with a free first round or spare first round pick. Because I think he's one of my top 6 breakouts this year. It's one of the things where if you tell the story a certain way, it seems normal. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown should keep doing what he's doing. But it sounds like surprising to some people because they have a different process. Really productive receiver who fell in the draft. According to most Devy players I talked to, that's the pass. They were expecting higher and he just didn't. It's weird. And it's mostly blamed on his quarterback and team situation, a lack of production in that last year, because the NFL does seem to lean that last year more so, whereas I think the average is more telling. Or even age-adjusted, more important. But I don't think he got all those targets down the stretch last year because there was no one else, because that's not how I think targets move primarily. And I've seen the GIFs and memes with no one on the team and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and this year everyone's on the team, so what's going to happen? Like Hawkinson was there, Swift was there, and Amon-Ra St. Brown was still getting targets. I know it blew up towards the end, but that looks like what should have happened given how good he was in college. I think the injuries and lack of depth on that depth team just let him get that opportunity a little earlier than a 4th-round pick usually does. Normally, it's more Darnell Mooney, and it takes an extra second. 2 years, 3, you start to see the beginnings of it instead of the culmination. And I think the injuries and the lack of depth on that team just made Amon-Ra St. Brown get a little boost despite being a 4th-round pick. And once they did, yeah, he's that kind of player. But, I got fooled by Cam Meredith and Tyrell Williams back in the day. But I don't think these offenses have made similar. Cam Meredith suffered a major injury that offseason before he came back. Tyrell Williams had additional depth to the team, and Keenan Allen came back healthy. And Keenan Allen is a different level of volume player in the passing game than either Swift or Hawkinson. I just don't think they suck the air out the room as much as Keenan Allen does. And that was Tyrell Williams, by the way. So yeah, because of the way I follow value arcs or I follow career arcs, Amon-Ra St. Brown seems a little advanced. Like, we rarely get a 4th-round player doing that their first year. But I think that came because of the depth. It's not, he didn't get the targets because there was no one else. He got the chance to get all the targets because there was no one else, and he proved he could do it. So I think it continues. So yeah, he's above that line for me. And there are a whole bunch of thoughts, I guess. Probably. Can Kahil Shakir be one of those common? Not this year. He's too low drafted. Depth chart's too stocked. But I think that's the upside for him. And I made some content about him. I wrote an article. I did a rookie video preview on him. He was a decent player in college who could definitely be a McCall Harbin type. Again, remember what McCall Harbin is, not what he hoped he could be one day. I think Tolbert's got a little more upside just based on the rookie profiles, which the NFL is going to tell us so much more about what their likely future is in the NFL. But I think Shakir, especially like a 3rd-round pick, sure, he could have a game or two and definitely perform that 3rd option for a team eventually. And then you'll get players buying into him a little too much because I definitely think he has that in him. But maybe not too much more. Traded Diggs and Kupp for Judy, Barkley, Breece Hall, and a 23 first. Thoughts on this trade? Usually I would hate this trade. This year, I think it's good to be overstacked on running backs. Diggs and Kupp, man, you're going to hate that. Diggs and Kupp are going to have great years. I know they're older, but this is why Team Old Guy gets the value. However, because it's Dynasty, they will lose value because they are getting old. They will not lose points this year. I think both are going to really kick you in the ass for trading them away. But you've also got Barkley. If he stays healthy, you're going to love it. Hall should be a top 12 running back, I really think, this year. And you're going to love that. Doesn't need too much from the Jets to do that because he's a running back, but he needs a little. And you got a 23 first. Yeah, this is about the only way I trade away those really good wide receivers who are going to keep producing for the next 2-3 years, but the value is going to diminish anyway. A la Mike Evans this year, right? He's a couple years further into his value arc than either because they blew up so well last year and the year before for Diggs. But I think in terms of playing the Dynasty career arc, what's likely in front of you in the future, I think this is a smart trade, but it does hurt. It does really hurt. But because you got Barkley, Breece, a first, and even Judy thrown in, I kind of love it, to be honest, especially this year. Who's the Amon-Ra? No, there's not going to be a 4th-round player who has a breakout season next year. There's probably going to be one who's going to impress, especially on a points per game during the second half of the season, whether it's London or Wilson or Burks, as I think it's most likely to be. I'm not great at guessing that, though, and I'm the only one. Me and Zach, I think, are the only ones who still remember Burks is meant to be good. So one or two are going to have pretty decent rookie years and escalating value, I really think. Several of them are going to have decent rookie years, 400, 500, 600 receiving yards, but I don't think this is the year to be getting rookies for the points they're going to be putting up. at all. That rarely happens, except second half of the season, point of game type value, because that happens a lot with rookies. But this rookie class, I expect them to find it harder to find room on the offense, because we're coming off the back of 2 wide receiver classes, and a few wide receivers are gonna come back healthy, and it's just a little harder to compete for shares of offenses this year. And the rookie class overall is a little lower. Like Burks would have been like a wide receiver 4 last year. And he's not only competing with the 2021 class, he's competing with the 2020 class, which is also lit. So, yeah, I don't think there is one, especially an Amon-Ra St. Brown. Lower drafted prospect who goes off like that. Year 1, if there is one, maybe Talbot, maybe David Bell. David Bell will be my lead contender, obviously. Rewind all of that, just so we can clip it. Who's this year's Amon-Ra St. Brown? Skilled player who will fall a bit in the draft, but breaks out. Obviously, there's only one answer. There'll be no reason to waffle about this question. Everyone should know that's David Bell. Clip. Right? Try and manufacture some takes here. Targets are earned. I think they're more earned than they're given, but I appreciate you saying the phrase. I do. He's probably... I get the hesitation. I really do. I think you've got the exact right. You're on the nose. Like always, Joe, you're on the nose here. Yeah, I got to do it begrudgingly. But where his ADP is, that feels like a begrudging upside pick, you know? I was really surprised I didn't get him in the Scott Fishbowl. He was going right in the range where I wanted him, and all my friends who feel like Zach and Russ who feel similarly managed to get him in that turn. I just ended up without him, without Deontay. I was surprised. Yeah, see, you knew it before I did. Don't tell anyone. He's not quite as low drafted, though, to be fair. 3rd round pick versus a 4th round pick is a little different, hit rate wise and stuff. 10 team Superflex, 1 point PPR. Start 10. Give Drake London, get Gabe Davis. No, keep Drake London for me, like heavily. I just got this offer. Give Juju and Darrell Williams. Receive Kamara at 24th, 3rd. Nah, I think I'll keep... I hate what I have to say about Kamara, but, I mean, this is a fair trade. If you need a running back, Kamara's your guy. I think this is fair. All things being equal, Juju is the one I'm trying to add to my roster. It'd be horrible to give up Kamara for him. Come on, strong opinions, Pete. Give me Juju and Darrell Williams, but this is a very fair trade. If you don't like it, take the Kamara side. I'm not scared to ever roster Kamara. He's going to be underrated because he's just a receiving back till his dying day. He's what people hope Swift can be, and I don't think there are many Kamaras ever. Alec Pierce may deliver late. I mean, it's not a bad argument. Zach's right. I probably like him a little bit more because I'm out on the upside for Pittman, but Pittman's a solid top 24 receiver the more I look at it. Pierce has some interesting... He's got like a 19-age breakout age. His progression is decent. More draft capital than you'd think, and the Colts are pretty good at drafting, especially the way they draft and don't prioritize certain positions, and that's why they end up players with like Pierce. So, and I've seen too many depth wide receivers that I like hit the Colts. You'll know pretty quick. That's what I'll say about Pierce. Colts have added a lot of these deep guys, especially since this new staff have come in that I've liked. Then you've seen them move to the practice squad and move out. They will. I think the Colts are really good at drafting players, assessing them, and either moving on or moving them into their offense. That's what happened with Hilton. There's some other lower drafted prospects as well. So I kind of like that about Pierce as well. Definitely have Bell well above him, but Pierce is definitely interesting at his ADP. Redraft, dynasty, or a rookie startup. Well, I don't mind him. 2nd round pick, late, mid-late, after Bell, after Trey McBride. Yeah, you got it in 1, my man. Are you high or low on Gibson? Antonio? Good question. I feel like I'm high on Gibson. Finished top 12 last year. I think it's fine. Right now, I have him as a running back 11, apparently. Dynasty, he is a running back 10. Last time I scraped my own ranks and compared it to the average of the other rankers at Superflex. So I'm right on the nose. I'm actually heavily using my experience in the Scott Fish Bowl to get a sense of where I'm at on players, and I wasn't tempted where he went in ADP. Now, there's a strong incentive to draft running backs in the Scott Fish Bowl, but I think that all kind of balances out in a live draft, and we're all assessing new information. I think he's fine. I think he's fine. I don't want to be low, but I'm definitely not. Excited to reach for him. Maybe that'd be the sentence. George, 10 teams through flex, start 10, give Hurts, Sutton, McLaurin, get Lamar and Olave. Ooh, that's tough. Because Lamar, right, is like an expensive top 5 running back, top 5 quarterback. Hurts kind of has that upside, though, but he's never going to have that value because he's not Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's different. But at the same time, Sutton over Olave, 100%, and you get 10. I think I'm going the Hurts side, honestly. 10 team. If this was 12 team, it would be Hurts easy. 10 team, it's a lot more even because you want those top 5 players, and that's Lamar, man. But for sure, like the certainty of it is pretty easy to go on Lamar. I think this is a really good trade, guys. You got to stop throwing up good trades. Where's all those easy trades? I think I go Hurts Sutton for the upside. Hurts is a discount Lamar, and you get Sutton as well. That's cool. Plus McLaurin for insurance. Yeah, Hurts side. Very good trade, though. And that's part of my process, we'll call it, that I do have to do some work on. I don't have a strong who repeats, who returns type. I haven't been able to research that significantly, other than, typical career act. Deontay Johnson's going to be top 24, that kind of thing. I can tell you, I haven't been drafting or adding Kenny Golladay. It just seems so far and so long ago since he was good. I know it's actually relatively recently. And he got paid in the Giants as well, but the Giants continue to add. I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't have anything strong for you, but I haven't seen anything on Kenny Golladay that makes me think Allen Robinson kind of a thing. But that is an area I do have to research before I could offer anything firmer than a general sense. Follow ADP kind of a deal. Justin Goldman got offered DK, Corey Davis for ETN and Mike Williams. Thoughts on this trade in one quarterback dynasty? Let me see. I want the ETN side, and I would trade away Mike Williams if I could get his value right now. If I could get it first. If I get a second plus anyone that I like, honestly. Mike Williams ADP right now is, I think, a best ball upside pick, influencing dynasty and redraft players a little bit too much because the best ball upside is there. I'm not sure the dynasty or the redraft upside is. But ETN is what you want in 2020. If my team is struggling, I probably take DK because long term, I think DK is the guy more likely to sustain or increase in value over the next year or two. But if we're looking at 2022, I like the ETN side. I'd probably trade Mike Williams away, but very situation-dependent trade kind of a thing. Was only good that one. He was good for a couple years. We've top 24 seasons. He got 2 of them, I believe, before he moved on. Jacobs cut off 3, I think, at the moment. 3 top 24 seasons or 3 top 12, but 12 touchdowns from Stafford. He was good enough to take advantage of a good situation. What I saw when he switched situations was he wasn't able to make a good situation. Like, he needed Stafford. And that's fair. Like, most wide receivers can't make the situation entirely by themselves. Even the great ones. Tyreek Hill, he's going to need Tua to at least be half decent. So is Jalen Waddle. And Jalen Waddle got that from him last year. I think he's probably an underrated player even at this point, but he's not in any better of a situation, Did I hit the end? Awesome. Oh, no, I did. Zach hit the nail on the head. He's the new Jarvis Landry. He's going to be always worth more. And Brandon Cooks, he's going to be worth more in points than he is in value. I have this suspicion, like Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson's one, Donald Mooney is one. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, was a later drafted prospect as well. Players that break out at older ages, but not necessarily too far into their career, are always discounted or squinted at a little bit more in Dynasty. It's not just Amon-Ra St. Brown's draft capital you got to remember. I think he was also a 23, 22-year-old prospect. He's not that perfect 21-year-old prospect kind of thing. And honestly, I think that factors into why we move off on them or take our foot off the gas in terms of their value. Now, having said that, while I want to say Deontay Johnson is a repeat and therefore we should value him as a top 12, nah, I'm not in on that. I think his floor solid. I think he has top 12 upside in the future. I think it's a little hard to see him carrying that off. Like Ben Roethlisberger was terrible last year. Pickens can replace that. So can Mitchell. Or whoever is going to be I think it's Mitch Trubisky, right? A terrible Ben is not just a terrible QB. He's got experience, savvy, accuracy, even if he doesn't have legs anymore. And it's not that I'm going to pretend I now have a way of evaluating quarterbacks, but I think it's reasonable to expect that a way over the hill Peyton Manning, even though he was terrible that last year, and a way over the hill Ben Roethlisberger last year is better than a mediocre rookie QB. In some way, I might never be able to quantify, even if it's just outright accuracy. And Deontay Johnson was operating so close to the line of scrimmage, probably because of Big Ben, that he didn't need his arm anymore. But still, Ben can catch you in his stride more often and more comfortably than bad quarterback X, even if they're rated the same and they have the same passer rating or whatever. I think just reasonableness would tell us that. And for that reason, I think the slight lowering of Deontay Johnson in ADP is somewhat reasonable. But again, I think his points are going to be worth it. And I think he has top 12 upside in the future because of what happened last year. And I think that's why it's nasty. Dynasty's a rough way to go with the good players this year. Bye, Joe. Thanks for checking us out. See you next week. I got to get out of here too, to be honest. Bye, Scampers. How do you feel about drafting Jets, Elijah Moore, or Garrett? I don't know why I said it weird. Or Garrett Wilson in a startup. I try to stay away from two wide receivers on the same team, but you think it's worth the value instead of getting guys like Bateman, Hollywood. I mean, it's the same answer every time, right? So at what price? At what ADP? I like Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson in their startup ADP. Both seem very appropriately priced. In a dynasty startup, yeah, I'd be perfectly happy adding both. Having two wide receivers on the same team doesn't worry me. Zach Wilson worries me, but they're adjusted by ADP enough that I'm interested. I think you can add Bateman, Hollywood, and Moore and Wilson based on where their ADPs are at in some drafts. I'm not against that either. I think they have top 24 upside. I think Wilson has a points per game upside this year and top 24 upside the year after. I don't know which one could be top 12. To me, from what I know of the players so far, and I haven't seen Wilson in the NFL, so I don't know him as well, but they both seem to be volume top 24 players. It's weird, you know? But Zach is a lot more excited. I think he'd probably say that I'm reading him wrong there, but I think you like Wilson a fair bit. I like Elijah Moore a lot, though. He's the one I'm more interested in this year. That's what I'm going to say. I would take Elijah Moore. I'm not interested in 22 rookies this year. If I've got a choice between these four players, it's a rookie who I will fade lower than most players. I don't want 2022 rookies this year. I'll be interested in the ones that do well next year. That's how I'm playing this year. Rookie wide receivers ain't my thing. I like the second-year players more than anything most years. I like Moore because he already broke out. Bateman's too highly valued. Hollywood's is undervalued. So do I have a better way of answering this? Yeah, I want Elijah Moore. That's my answer. Hollywood and Elijah Moore, Bateman and Wilson, my fades this year, but both are good players that I like. I'm hoping the value dips so I can get them at another point. And don't worry about rostering two players from the same team. The only problem is you pretty much need a good quarterback for that second wide receiver. Pretty much, not always, but you need a good quarterback for that second player to be pretty decent. That does correlate. Wide receiver 2s with fantasy upside or fantasy startability tend to have a higher rated quarterback. I mean, Wilson, Lockett, and DK Metcalf. Derek Carr, that was one of the strong arguments for Derek Carr. He had Amari Cooper and Darren Waller at some point. Yeah, he had 2 fantasy relevant players twice, I think. Who was that other guy? Anyway, Peyton Manning produced 2 consistently. We've seen Joe Burrow do it. Herbert hasn't done it concurrently. Like, it was either Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. I think that's the other reason for liking Keenan Allen or Josh Palmer a little later. But they don't necessarily produce 2, but good quarterback. Wide receiver 2s with top 24 upside, on average, have higher rated quarterbacks or higher drafted quarterbacks in fantasy anyway. I think that's a reasonable thing to put your shoulder behind, you know. Torn on Kamara plus 24, third for Juju, Darrell Williams deal. It's fairly yeah, that's a knuckle biter. Your team, JJTK, Higgins, Terry, A-Rob, Swift, Barkley, CH. Yeah, you don't need Kamara, so I'd take the Juju upside here. That's the way I'd break it. You'd be giving up. I'm just checking who's on your teams. Yeah, you'll be giving up Kamara for Juju upside, and you're just throwing away a third. Kamara value is very likely to drop next year. Running back, aging, he's still probably going to be good, but his value will drop. Juju is the one on this roster, this trade, that I think his value could jump up. His points might be over what his value currently is in this trade. Yeah. He might have top 12 upside, is what I'm saying. Kamara does, but his value is going to fall. And where you already have that upside at the running back position, yeah, I think I'll lean Juju. I think I would fret over it as well. This seems too strong for me. Like, Juju, this seems like everyone tells me Juju's bad and you should trade him away, but getting Kamara for him would be a hell of a deal, right? Yeah, I just take Juju. But if you're feeling iffy about it, don't do it. I mean, if you're not getting what you want when you've got Kamara to trade away, just keep Kamara. You'd be getting Kamara. You didn't list Juju on your team, so I got confused. You don't need Kamara, though. I think Kamara's safer. If that helps. Kamara is definitely more likely to be a top 12 running back than Juju is a top 12 wide receiver. And by the look of your team, you're okay pushing for the season, right? You got Barkley, you got Swift, you got CEH. It would add that. It would push one of them to death, which is amazing. And your wide receivers, JJ, Higgins, Terry, A-Rob, yeah. I think this is fine. Like I said, I think it's fine either way. It just depends what you want to do with your team. And I think if you're trying to add Kamara, this is a good trade. This would be fine. As a resident JJ truther or Juju truther, I'm not ever going to be mad about adding Kamara. He's a pretty good player. So yeah, do it. If you want Kamara, go get your Kamara. I think it's a very fair trade. I think it's a very good deal for Kamara because the downside of Juju is what happened last year, and then all the value's gone. It doesn't matter if Kamara drops a little bit if Juju drops a lot, right? So risk management, that's a fair trade for Kamara. And whose value is higher after this season? Nicole or Terrence Marshall? Are they different now? I think then they'd be valued about the same. I think I'd rather have Terrence Marshall than Nico Collins right now. I don't really want to rush either of them. There you go. All right, guys, I'm going to have to get out of here. Sorry, everyone else had to leave and you were stuck with myself. But I enjoyed seeing you all. I really did. I really appreciate it. And hopefully one of these weeks we can get more Zach and more Russ and we can get me. And I think that would be lit. That'd be everyone getting a reward for having to put up with me so much. No comments on that? Well, good night. No, yeah, like I said, my jokes suck. It's fine. I'm going to get out of here, though. Really appreciate it. We'll see you all next week at 9:30. Again, life and schedules. Russ and Zach are both very tired. Have had very rough days, which isn't always the case. But I was appreciative to have them here for the little while we could get them here. No problem, guys. Thanks very much. Yeah, they definitely deserve an early night off, especially all the work they've been putting in. So, yeah, next week hopefully we'll get them for the same amount of time, maybe a little longer. Who knows? Really appreciate everyone. Without Zach, I can't really do the look behind you thing. Just doesn't work. But really appreciate it. See you next week, 9:30, Dynasty Grind. Bring your questions. Bye.